just didn't know. I wouldn't have done it. Well, the one that's on there. The one that's on yeah.
We're gonna try this again. Only person I can answer when you sit try to send a couple. Don't make no. Sorry.
All right, Mr. Deputy, will you call this meeting to order?
All rise. Here you hear the internal practice of the Shelby County City is now open for the transaction of business pursuant to adjournment. All persons having business with the city draw near to shall be heard. Please remain standing.
All right, thank you so much. I think we've got a guest pastor here for the invocation. If you want to come on down. Pastor Hawkins. Good afternoon. Yes, please come up to the microphone.
Let us pray. God, we just come thanking you for this day, Lord. We thank you for the hour that we are here now, Lord. We put all the business before this body, before you right now. We pray that everything is done decent and in order, Lord, and that your will be done. We pray that for everyone that's here, for traveling grace and mercy as we leave this place. It's in your precious darling Son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Madam Vice Chair Avant, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, thank you. You may be seated. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Clay Bibbs. Caswell. Sugarman.
Present.
Mills.
Present.
Ford. Wright.
Present.
Bradford. Thornton.
Present.
Morrison.
Present.
Brooks. Lowry. Avant.
Present.
Chairman Whalen.
Present.
We have 9 present.
All right, we do have a quorum today. Can we get approval of the minutes of the previous session without objection? This is from January 27, 2025. Hearing none, those minutes are approved. It's possible to give public comment in 2 ways: via the designated email account boc.email@shelbycountytn.gov or via phone at 901-222-1234. Madam Parliamentarian, please read the rest of the rule.
Members of the public who desire to address the County Commission shall request permission by completing an appearance card, which will be given to the chair by a deputy. Members of the public shall be permitted to address the County Commission unless ruled out of order by the chair or denied the opportunity to speak by a majority vote of the commissioners present and voting. Please note that as it pertains to public comment, our rules of order set a limit of no longer than 3 minutes when recognized by the chair. The chair may set a limit for discussion by the public of less than 3 minutes for each individual if circumstances require. Finally, to the members of the public, if you would like to express your pleasure or displeasure on a matter before the County Commission, please do so by raising your thumb up or pointing it down, as opposed to applause or other expressions of approval or disapproval. Disruptive members of the public are subject to removal from the commission chambers by the deputy sheriff. Thank you for your attention and in advance for your cooperation today.
All right, thank you so much. We have a commissioner and a staff birthday this month. Commissioner Henry Brooks just had her birthday on the 2nd, so happy birthday to Commissioner Brooks. And Miss Evelyn Guy. Miss Evelyn his birthday is coming up on the 28th of February, so happy early birthday. All right, we have one general comment. Mr. Kent, Joby Kent, you can come up and state your name, address, 3 minutes.
Joe Kent, 5111 Flamingo. Thank you for sending a letter to the controller that should not have had to be sent at all. At the same time, I am for the resolution of increased public financial monitoring in general. There's not a better place to start than MSCS. There will be zero public improvement without increased, sustained local public financial oversight. Baseline oversight locally requires the adequate staffing of the Shelby County Local State Controller's Office with an intervention staff of likely 50 and a sustained staff of 30. That is my idea, Mr. Chairman. Nobody else's. My idea. As you know, the Republican controller has been intentionally negligent in the non-staffing of the local Shelby County's office. In this way, Shelby Countyans have been disenfranchised by the state controller for years. The fact is that an active county commission using their bully pulpit on education coupled with an adequately staffed local controller's office would be a drastic improvement and not an intervention at all, but what should have been happening all along. Anyway, $81 million in HVAC MSCA spend and still having HVAC problems, that is $500K per building. Next, are we just going to turn the page and pretend the chamber was not involved in the Fegans ouster with all the news floating around about J.B. Smiley's donors, and after the very similar bully termination of Amber Covington? The bully behaviors collectively exhibited by the MSCS, Chamber, Shelby County Government, and Tennessee General Assembly regarding Dr. Fagans, Amber Covington, and Steve Mulroy are very, very, very redneck. And please check and question, if needed, Mulroy's financial management for public improvement. I recently attended a State of Tennessee, West Tennessee region event where a reverse DEI violation occurred regarding panel assemblage. Even with that violation, I was able to secure the public commitment by 2 legislators on the panel for legislation demanding the adequate staffing of the State Comptroller's Office in Shelby County that needs to happen. Again, for this audit resolution. And I'd ask you, please don't be a redneck, okay? Now, Mark White needs to get on the comptroller and have him staff the office down here. That's what Mark White needs to do. And I don't care if any of this hokey stuff about the comptroller being a comic book collector or liking Spider-Man or bagging groceries. I need him to staff the local comptroller's office for public financial oversight. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Madam Parliamentarian, please read item number 2.
Item 2 is a resolution honoring the 2025 Music Educator Grammy Award winner, Mr. Adrian L. Macklin of Cordova High School, sponsored by Chairwoman Pro Tempore Shantae K. Avant.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Vice Chair Avant.
Thank you, Chair. I have the wonderful privilege of honoring someone who has national recognition, and so happy to have him to be here tonight. And with all of his accolades, I just ask the Commission to indulge me to share a few of those with you. It is appropriate for the Shelby County Board of Commissioners to recognize and honor esteemed citizens within Shelby County, and we have the opportunity to do so today. Adrian L. Macklin was named the 2025 Music Educator Award recipient, recognized for his excellence in music education during the Special Merit Awards ceremony. He was recognized by the Recording Academy and Grammy Museum for this special honor. He is a product of Memphis City Schools, and he has been, for the last 2 decades, teaching, 13 of which have been as director of choirs at Cordova High School. He was inspired by his middle and high school choir directors to become a music educator. As a graduate of Philander Smith University, he earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in music and an emphasis in vocal performance. While at Cordova, his groups have performed for the Southern Division of the American Choral Directors Association Conference, the Tennessee Music Educators Association Conference, Carnegie Hall, and in numerous halls throughout the country. Adrian works hard not only to produce outstanding performance ensembles, but he is committed to educating and cultivating the total musician and student, which serves as an inspiration for the next chapter in their lives. In addition to Adrian's working at Cordova, he serves as the Memphis Shelby County School District on the music leadership team. And also in his role, Adrian's primary focus is to support his choral colleagues and novice directors in professional development and planning. He also serves on the board of West Tennessee Vocal Music Education Association as past president, state choral chair for the Tennessee Music Educators Association, and served on the board for the state chapter of the American Choral Directors Association. Macklin has faithfully served his home church of Mount Moriah East Baptist Church for 20 years as the minister of music. He also serves as the assistant artistic director of the Memphis Choral Arts as a primary conductor for the Memphis Men's Choral. In 2020, Adrian was recognized by the Country Music Association Foundation as one of their Music Teachers of Excellence awardees and is the 2025 Music Educator Award recipient. Mr. Macklin has 2 daughters, Madison and Mackenzie, who are the apples of his eye, and Mackenzie is here with him today. So happy to have her. So now it therefore be resolved that the Shelby County Board of Commissioners do hereby honor Grammy Award winner and music educator Mr. Adrian L. Macklin for his commitment and enormous impact on the students of Cordova High School and many others, demonstrating his inspiration and overall passion to the citizens of the great county of Shelby, Tennessee. This is affixed on the 10th day of February 2025. So I would like to allow Mr. Macklin a few words if he'd like.
Thank you all so much. I am proud to be a product of Memphis City Schools. I'm proud to be a Memphian, and I'm proud to do the work that I do day in and day out for the students of not only Cordova High School, but Memphis Shelby County Schools. I'm extremely proud of the accomplishment that I bear, and I understand that it recognizes music educators everywhere. So again, thank you, Commissioner Avant, for the recognition today. Thank you.
All right. All right, thank you, Vice Chair Avant. Congratulations again, Mr. Macklin. Madam Parliamentarian, please read item number 3.
Item 3 is a resolution honoring Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, sponsored by Commissioner Brittany Thornton.
All right, good afternoon, Commissioner Thornton. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. And as Pastor Nyron Hawkins comes down, I see he's joined by a number of his congregants, so I want to acknowledge them. It is a great pleasure for me to be able to introduce to our body Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, which has a very lengthy history. So I know that I was talking to Ms. Mitty as she was preparing this resolution, and she was telling me all of the great history for this particular congregation. And so I share that with everyone today. So whereas 142 years and counting of continuous service is just another testimony to the primacy of the Church of Jesus Christ, no matter how forceful the criticism, the indifference, Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church has never withdrawn from her mission of meeting the spiritual and moral needs of the community. This marvelous ministry has began following its separation of the Mother Church of Black Baptists in Memphis, Tennessee, First Baptist Bill Street. A small group of charter members met at the Benevolence Hall on Hernando Road, and Reverend Robert Nelson County, the first pastor of the Mother Church, vacated the pulpit to become the first pastor of Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church. He was often referred to as an intellectual genius and served 11 prosperous years with notable accomplishments as constructing and completing the new Tabernacle Church site within 90 days that was located at 206 Turley Street near Bill Street. Reverend County moved to Wichita, Kansas, and Reverend Searcy from Brownsville, Tennessee, was appointed as the second pastor at Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church. Searcy, a former slave in Rutherford, Tennessee, earned his doctorate degree from Roger Williams Theology Seminary. Pastor Searcy was a faithful promoter of the educated church, and he supported the Howey Institute and was appointed as the chairman of the educational board of the National Baptist Convention and held the position of educational secretary for the Tennessee of American Baptist Mission Society. So I'm just going to continue on to our current history, where we have on June 9th, 2024, the 16th pastor, Pastor Nyron Hawkins, who's here with us today, was installed, and he was selected to oversee the pulpit in January 2023 by Dr. Keith Norman, senior servant of First Baptist Church Broad. Mr. Reverend Hawkins was called to preach the gospel in March 2008 and was ordained in November 2018 and has served in various capacities at First Baptist Church Broad. Because of his deep love for Christ, he is anxious for the church to once again be the heart of the community. And I actually met Pastor Narone in community, doing some really, really great engagement with community members, particularly young adults, which he has a special knack for. So now, therefore, be it resolved that the Shelby County Board of Commissioners does hereby recognize Pastor Narone Hawkins and Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church for your dedication, guidance, and leadership to the community and the great citizens of Shelby County. So with that, I will allow for Pastor Narone to address us. And again, thank you, colleagues, for helping me recognize this great staple within District 10.
Thank you. Thank you, Charlie, for putting me to work. Once I got here today, I guess I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. First, giving honor to God and thankful for the house that I came out of, and that is Dr. Keith Norman at First Baptist Broad. I've been under great leadership, so I understand the work that we need to do in the Glenview Garden community, and I just want you guys to know we're up for the work. We want to be a beacon of light in that community for everybody. We want to be a place that people can come where they feel the love of God, where they feel the vibe of God, and where we can help them get to where they want to be. We have to be the feet in the hands of people, and I leave you with this. One of the things I want to thank this congregation, because it was some people who stayed around when everybody else left. It was a remnant that was left, but we know what the Bible say. All you need is a remnant. All you need is a couple of people, and God can take a couple of people and he can do some great things. So I'm looking forward to working with Commissioner Thornton to continue to grow and to do the work that I'm called to do in Glenview Garden, so we can be the beacon on the hill that we know she is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Pastor, for also jumping in right at the beginning of the meeting. We appreciate you for that. Yes. Yeah, Commissioner Caswell.
Pastor Hawkins, Pastor Hawkins, I want to thank you too, as the chairman said, but for 10 years of friendship and again, being that person on the ground. They made a great choice in choosing you as their pastor. Again, what you've done with First T and in this community for many years is appreciated, and continue the great work, Pastor.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Thornton. Madam Parliamentarian, please read item number 4.
Item 4 is a resolution honoring Mr. Kenan Duckmaster Walker of the Peabody Hotel, sponsored by Commissioner Brittany Thornton.
All right. I see you brought an entourage.
I'm telling
Commissioner Thornton, you have the floor.
All right. Thank you, Chairman, again. Thank you, colleagues. So this is a fun acknowledgement and recognition for this local celebrity. I'm sure we've all seen Mr. Kenan and his colleagues in action. So when I met him, it was just amazing to me just to see like the man and to bring his personhood and his accomplishments, which some of you might be surprised to hear he has many. So there's more than just Duckmaster to Mr. Walker, and here we go. So whereas the Duckmaster Kenan Walker is solely responsible for the care and well-being of the Peabody Ducks, including feeding and training the teams for their twice daily marches. When not tending to the 5 North American mallards, he acts as a public ambassador for the hotel, greeting guests at the grand lobby, conducting tours, doing media interviews, making community outreaches, appearances, and in many ways, the Duckmaster is the face of the Peabody Hotel. Kenan has deep roots in Memphis, its tourism and arts community, a passion for the Blue City, and a dramatic and engaging style of storytelling, perfected over decades as a tour guide and actor. Walker applies his talents daily to the most Memphis role yet, the Peabody Duckmaster. He grew up in Memphis, the nephew of Grammy Award-winning Memphis gospel artist Olanda Draper, and has dedicated his career to telling Memphis' story as a tour guide, historian, and stage and screen actor. As lead tour guide at the National Civil Rights Museum, he gave tours to the Dalai Lama, Bill and Melinda Gates, Spike Lee, Samuel Jackson. This is a really impressive list of people. And later joined Stax Museum of American Soul Music, where he created the tour guide curriculum that is still in place today. After having worked at the Peabody's front desk in 2003, where he earned the recognition of Employee of the Year, Walker rejoined the South Grand Hotel in 2018 as a VIP concierge and soon after became Assistant Duckmaster. He was promoted to lead Duckmaster in 2020. Keenan's passion for storytelling led to a prolific acting career in Memphis, having appeared in 40 stage plays since 1999 and in more than a dozen locally produced commercials, television shows, and films. He's held lead roles in the 2023 film Queen Rising and The Reaper Man, and the upcoming releases, I didn't know all this, Damaged Goods and The Fifth Step, along with a pilot episode for Memphis-based series High Heel. Prior acting credits include small roles or being cast as an extra in Hustle and Flow, Soul Men, My Blueberry Nights, Bluff City Law, and Insecure. Walker has also represented the hotel in his role as Peabody Duckmaster on ABC primetime game show To Tell the Truth. So naturally, therefore be it resolved that the Shelby County Board of Commissioners does hereby honor Mr. Keenan Peabody Duckmaster Walker for your dedication, reliability, and loyalty to the citizens of Shelby County.
Well, thank you for this this recognition. This is a huge honor for me, especially as a Memphian, and especially for something that I never thought that I would grow up to be. You know what I mean? Becoming a world-renowned duck trainer was not on the list of things that I ever thought that I'd grow up to be, but it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. So I wanted to thank the Peabody Hotel for giving me the opportunity to step into the role as Duckmaster and bring the experience that I've been blessed to have at places like the Civil Rights Museum and Stax and a Tour of Possibilities and all the other places that I've been blessed to connect with to that platform. And it's been life-changing for me. I never knew that connecting with 5 ducks could have this kind of effect on other people. But one thing that I do realize is that the one thing that people do have in common is that we all need joy. And the fact that I get a chance to go to, and I hesitate to call it work because it's not work for me, it's a calling. But the fact that I get a chance to go to a place to provide joy to people from around the world, and it connects with so many different people from different walks of life, from different countries. I mean, it's an honor to be a light that comes out of Memphis, that represents something good that Memphis is known for on an international scale. And every day that I'm blessed to do it is a huge honor for me, and I never take any encounter or any moment that I'm in this red jacket for granted. So thank you, Mrs. Thornton, for recognizing me as a Memphian. This is a huge, huge honor for me. I mean, to become recognized as a part of Memphis history. To my mother, Teresa Brazell, my aunt Diane, and my cousin Angie, my friends, Rob Breyer, Cam and Tim Z House in the M. Tenzi Museum, James Cook, Jamel Tate over there. Man, all these people, man, they've been a part of my journey. And the fact that my journey led me here means more than I can ever express to you all. So thank you for recognizing me, and thank you for honoring me for doing something that's good. So thank you all. I sincerely appreciate you. Thank you. Congratulations, Adrian, too, man. Thank you. Oh, yeah, hold on. Yes, that's the next thing. See the duck. Here we go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. That means that.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Thornton, and congratulations, Mr. Duckmaster. I know you've got to get back to work. Isn't it still 4 o'clock? You're off today? Okay, good. Okay, good. Enjoy yourself today. Thank you for being here. Commissioners, we're now at the consent agenda. We'll put 3 minutes on the clock. Please take 3 minutes to review the consent, and if there are any items that you wish to pull? All right, Commissioner Ford?
Chair, thank you. Number 5 and number 14, please.
All right, 5 and 14, thank you. Commissioner Brooks?
Number 20 and 21.
Sorry, you said 20 and 21? Okay, 20 and 21. Commissioners, any other items we need to pull? All right, Madam Parliamentarian, please read the consent agenda with the exception of items 4, 14, 20, and 21. I'm sorry, 5.
Items 6 and 7 come from the Public Works Committee with Commissioner Mills as vice chair. Item 6 is a resolution approving warranty repair and maintenance services for the Shelby County Fire Department from Dobbs Ford Inc., DBA AutoNation Ford Wolf Chase at a cost not to exceed $125,000. This item requires expenditure of FY 2025 fire enterprise funds in an amount not to exceed $125,000. Sponsored by Commissioner Amber Mills. Item 7 is a resolution approving an agreement between Shelby County Government and AHA Mechanical Contractors LLC to provide all chiller maintenance for 15 chillers located at 201 Poplar Jail and Courthouse, 271 Poplar Annex, 280 Washington Kitchen, 160 North Main, 140 Adams, 157 Poplar, 1060 Madison, 637 Poplar, and 7200 East Shelby Drive. This contract will commence upon execution and continue through June 30th, 2025, in an amount not to exceed $185,500, with the option to renew for 2 additional one-year periods, with first-year renewal period not to exceed an amount of $185,500, and the second-year renewal period in the amount not to exceed $213,325. $5. This item requires expenditure of fiscal year 2025 general funds in an amount not to exceed $185,500, sponsored by Commissioner David C. Bradford Jr. Item 8 comes from the Hospitals and Health Committee with Commissioner Caswell as Vice Chair. Item 8 is a resolution approving an amendment to one subrecipient grant contract with Shelby County Health Corporation, DBA Regional One Health, for the purpose of increasing the contract amount of $200,000 for a total amount of $200,000, allowing for the continued core medical and supportive services to individuals living with HIV under the Ryan White Part B grant for the period of April 1, 2024 through March 31, 2025. This item requires the expenditure of FY 2025 federal grant funds in an amount not to exceed $200,000, sponsored by Commissioner Miska Clay Bibbs. Item 9 comes from the Law Enforcement Corrections and Courts Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Wright. Item 9 is a resolution to accept and amend the FY 2025 grant operating budget to expend grant funds from the Tennessee Corrections Institute for the Shelby County Jail. This item requires appropriation and expenditure of state grant funds in the amount of $13,927, sponsored by Commissioner McWright. Items 10 through 12 come from the General Government Committee with Commissioner Mills as Vice Chair. Item 10 is a resolution approving the election of notaries public for appointment and a reappointment for Shelby County, Tennessee, sponsored by Commissioner Henry E. Brooks. Item 11 is a resolution approving the election of notaries public for appointment and a reappointment for Shelby County, Tennessee, sponsored by Commissioner Henry E. Brooks. Item 12 is a resolution approving the election of notaries public for appointment and a reappointment for Shelby County, Tennessee, sponsored by Commissioner Henry E. Brooks. Items 13 comes from the Core City Neighborhoods and Housing Committee with Commissioner Mills as acting chair. Item 13 is a resolution correcting the resolution approving the sale of 91 delinquent tax parcels acquired by Shelby County from various Shelby County tax sales to identified purchasers at various prices, collectively totaling $1,073,403, pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 67-5-2507, and authorizing the Shelby County Mayor to execute quitclaim deeds to resolution approving the sale of 91 delinquent tax parcels acquired by Shelby County from various Shelby County tax sales to identified purchasers at various prices, collectively totaling $1,080,453, pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 67-5-2507, and authorizing the Shelby County Mayor to execute a quitclaim deed, sponsored by Commissioner Henry E. Brooks. Items 15 through 21 come from the Milton Community Enhancement Grants Committee with Commissioner Thornton as Vice Chair. Item 15 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2025 operating budget in the amount of $2,500 to Black Men Crowned, a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $2,500 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Miska Clay Bibbs. Item 15 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2025 operating budget in the amount of $55,300 to Impact America Ministries, a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $55,300 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner Amber Mills. Item 17 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2025 operating budget in the amount of $175,000 to the City of Bartlett, Tennessee, a governmental entity. This item requires an expenditure of $175,000 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner McWright. Item 18 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2025 operating budget in the amount of $7,500 to Down Syndrome Association of Memphis and the Mid-South, a charitable organization. This item requires expenditure of $7,500 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner Shantae K. Avant. Item 19 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2025 operating budget in the amount of $5,000 to Item A Family Foundation, Inc., a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $5,000 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner Mikkel Lowry.
Okay, thank you. If we get a mover and seconder for the consent agenda. It's moved by Vice Chair Avant, seconded by Commissioner Thornton. Madam Clerk, please prepare the screen to vote on the consent agenda minus the items that were pulled. All right, we can close the screen and record the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Sugarman, Mills, Ford, Wright, Gordon, Morrison, Brooks, Avant, and Chairman Whaley. We have 9 aye votes.
Consent passes. Item 5.
Item 5 comes from the Budget and Finance Committee with Commissioner Lowry as Vice Chair. Item 5 is a resolution receiving and filing the December 2024 monthly comprehensive financial update reports entitled Shelby County Government Monthly Commission Division Reports for the year ending June 30th, 2025, sponsored by Commissioner Miska Clay Bibbs.
Item 5 is moved by Commissioner Sugarman, seconded by Commissioner Thornton. Vice Chair Avant, you were in budget. What was the committee report, if you don't mind?
Chair, this item came down with a favorable recommendation.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Ford.
Thank you. Whether it's Ms. Schonbaum or Ms. Tipton or both, good afternoon. Do you have a copy of the document that was presented? Okay, great. I'm on the summary of financial trends, and I want to look at two items. I want to look at the property tax revenue as well as the interest other. The revenue, you say, is going to be up 15.2 million compared to prior year. Is this the year where that sales ratio took effect and we had to modify accordingly? Because I know that we had to roll back a little bit because the ratio was kind of wacky.
Danielle Schonbaum, Deputy Director of Finance. I believe that was last year. The allocation is up this year due to change in the allocation of the penny.
Okay, and the penny is still about $2.4 million,
Yes.
give or take?
Yes.
And then the interest other, it says the interest rate environment. Are we talking about interest rate to where the trustee puts some of the funds away in particular funds that are applicable to what the comptroller says we can do, or is this some type of other interest?
Danielle Schonbaum, Deputy Director of Finance. That's correct. It's the investments that the trustee makes.
All right, thank you. And then I know I asked this is probably a budget director question, but I don't see them in here. I know we're in February. I know the deadline to have everything tied up in a bow with the auditor and the comptroller was December 31st. So any anticipation of the ACFR being done at the end of this month, to your knowledge?
Danielle Schonbaum, Deputy Director of Finance. We certainly hope so. I mean, that is mine. That's not the budget director's.
Okay. I know that they're working on theirs on the other side, and I just wanted to see because there's a couple of people that have asked me to explain what the ACFR entails and everything over there, and I wanted to use ours as an example. So if I got to use last year's for the purposes of this whole exercise, I will. I just wanted to ask.
I mean, we are extremely anxious for it to be finished, and we are still waiting on a number of items in order to be able to complete.
How can I say it? Are there any component units that have not done their part for the purposes of you getting your stuff in on time? That'll be my last question.
Danielle Schonbaum, Deputy Director of Finance. We have not received all component units yet.
Can you, for the listening and for those that are here, can you articulate who our component units are, like the major funds?
So the major one is the Memphis Shelby County Schools. And
that's all I need. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schonbaum. Thank you, Commissioner Ford. Madam Clerk, please prepare the screen to vote. Item number 5. So we can close the screen and record the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Ford, Wright. Correction. We have aye votes from Commissioners Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Ford, Wright, Gordon, Morrison, Brooks, and Sherman Whaley. We have 10 aye votes.
Item number 5 passes. Item 14.
Item 14 comes from the Audit Committee with Commissioner Lowry as Vice Chair. Item 14 is a resolution receiving and filing the second quarter report of the Shelby County Government for the year ending June 30th, 2025, sponsored by Commissioner Miska Clay Bibbs.
Okay, if we get a mover and seconder for item 14, moved by Commissioner Sugarman, seconded by Commissioner Caswell. Commissioner Ford. Oh, I'm sorry, Vice Chair Avant, report from Audit Committee.
Chair, this came down with a favorable recommendation.
Okay, thanks so much. Thank you, Commissioner Ford. You have the floor.
Thank you, CFO. Good afternoon. There was some very interesting information Ms. Schonbaum gave as far as why we're not where we're supposed to be. I did not know that was going to be the answer to the question, but it is what it is. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to ask one question here, and I'm going to wait until we get to the item that deals with the compensation policy, because even though Audit Committee does deal with internal controls, you know what my concerns were as far as your office and the HR office in any of the divisions, to where my concern basically is, will this new system that we have as far as reporting, will it report any of those things where the internal controls can be monitored and in some case the challenge is being remedied? Or is this just going to be you know how it is now, you got HR, you got finance, and you got the division. It's a big old triangle, and all of them don't necessarily talk to each other for the purposes of making sure that these reports, when you bring these reports, you got to go get all the information, this, that, and this. So my question is, when I get to the other piece regarding internal controls, when we finally get the implementation of this other system, will it remedy some of these challenges that I just talked about?
Audrey Tipton, Director of Administration and Finance. The system that we're installing now, Oracle, it will be one package unit as far as the HR department and finance, the revenue, O&M. All of that will come from one system. So we should be able to work more efficiently and consolidate our reporting better than what we're able to do now.
So when we get future reports, just like the second quarter report, will we have the same information, or will we be able to acquire more information due to the new technology?
Audrey Tipton, Director of Administration and Finance. We will have these reports and more.
All right. You don't want to elaborate on the and more?
We're still in the report building phase of it,
Okay.
but we do plan to have reports of this magnitude, operating statements and balance sheets and all of that.
Very good. Okay. That's all I have. I'll wait until we get to compensation on the other. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ford. Thank you, Director Tipton. Madam Clerk, please prepare the screen to vote on item 14. Okay, we can close the screen and record the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Ford, Wright, Thornton, Morrison, Brooks, Avant, and Chairman Whaley. We have 11 aye votes.
Item 14 passes. Item number 20.
Item 20 comes from the Milton Community Enhancement Grants Committee with Commissioner Thornton as Vice Chair. Item 20 is a resolution awarding county funds in the FY 2025 operating budget in the amount of $6,000 to Reading with Mrs. Richardson, a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $6,000 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner Amber Mills and Commissioner Dr. Edmund Ford Jr. This item was amended in February 5th, 2025 committee meeting.
Okay, thank you. Item 20 is moved by Commissioner Sugarman, seconded by Commissioner Thornton. Commissioner Thornton, can we have a committee report?
This item comes down with favorable recommendation.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Brooks.
Thank you. I'd like to add $1,500 and be added as a co-sponsor.
Okay, Commissioner Brooks has moved to amend by $1,500 and thus be added as a sponsor, seconded by Commissioner Sugarman. Can we do that without objection? Okay, hearing none, the new amended total will be $7,500. Thank you, Commissioner Brooks. Madam Clerk, please prepare the screen to vote on item 20 as amended at $7,500. Okay, I think we can close the screen and record the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Wright, Gordon, Morrison, Brooks, Avan, and Chairman Whaley. We have 10 aye votes.
Item number 20 passes. Item 21.
Item 21 comes from the Milton Community Enhancement Grants Committee with Commissioner Thornton as Vice Chair. Item 21 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2025 operating budget in the amount of $12,000 to the Chief Clarence L. Cash Jr. Firefighter Foundation, a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $12,000 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner Shante K. Avant and Commissioner Amber Mills. This item was amended in February 5th, 2025 committee meeting.
Okay, item 21 was moved by Commissioner Sugarman, seconded by Commissioner Mills. Commissioner Thornton, can we please have a committee report?
This item comes down with favorable recommendation.
Okay, thank you. And I believe this was pulled. Commissioner Brooks, you have the
Thank
floor.
you. I'd like to add 10,000 and be added as a co-sponsor.
All right, Commissioner Brooks has moved to amend by 10,000, second, and be added as a sponsor, seconded by Commissioner Sugarman. Can we do that without objection? Hearing none, that amended total will be 22,000 on item 21. Madam Clerk, please prepare the screen to vote on item 21 as amended, with the new total being 22,000. So we can close the screen and record the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Wright, Gordon, Morrison, Brooks, Avan, and Chairman Whaley. We have 10 aye votes.
Okay, item number 21 passes. Commissioners, if you'll indulge me, I'd like to call up item number 28. We have a few people in the audience that are interested in this and a lot of comment cards. I want to make sure everyone has a chance to speak on this item. If we can do that without objection, Madam Parliamentarian, please read item number 28.
Item 28 comes from the Budget and Finance Committee with Commissioner Lowry as Vice Chair. Item 28 is a resolution initiating the request for qualifications, RFQ, or single source process to engage a firm employing certified public accountants in order to perform a forensic financial audit of the Memphis Shelby County Schools, MSCS financials. This item requires an expenditure of commission contingency funds in an amount not to exceed $50,000, sponsored by Commissioner Dr. Edmund Ford Jr., Commissioner Amber Mills, Commissioner Brittany Thornton, and Commissioner Brandon Morrison. This item was amended in February 5th, 2025 committee meeting.
Okay, thank you. Item 28, moved by Commissioner Sugarman, seconded by Commissioner Thornton. Vice Chair Avance, can we have a committee report on item 28?
Yes, Chair, this item came down with a favorable recommendation.
All right, thank you so much. We have a few comment cards from the audience on this. Commissioner Sugarman, I see you're in the queue. Would you like to go ahead and speak now? We do have quite a few, so I want to make sure. Okay, all right. So when I call your name, you can come up, make sure you state your name and address, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak on this item. As Vice Chair Evans said, this item came down with a favorable recommendation. It was a unanimous vote in committee. So for those speaking in support of it, just know that. So I apologize in advance if I mess your name up, so please correct me if I do. But the first person I have is, I believe, Carolia Vassar, or anything like that? Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, please come up, and I apologize. So just state your name, your address for the record, and then you'll have 2 minutes to speak on item 28.
Okay. My name is Carol. My name is Carol Van Bossen. I live at 5140 Oak Meadow Avenue in Memphis. And I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to speak. As a voter of Shelby County, I'm one of your employees as well as one of the employers of the members of the Shelby County Board of Education. I'm asking you all as county commissioners to vote for the forensic audit of the SCBE. We as taxpayers have a right to know how our taxes are being spent. It seems to me that all of you would be wanting the same information. If everything is above board, there is no reason to fear or disagree about such an audit. I, for one, would like an accounting. We need answers to questions like why has there been no improvement in our school system since 4 new members were elected last year, and why do we have are we searching for a new superintendent? We've had 3, I believe, in the last 5 years. Again, I sincerely ask you that you vote for the forensic audit of the Shelby County Board of Education. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Next up, we have Noah Nordstrom. And just for the audience, if you want to voice your opinion on a speaker, a thumbs up is great. Or if you disagree, you can do a thumbs down, but thumbs ups are wonderful. All right, Mr. Nordstrom, state your name and address. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'm Noah Nordstrom. I'm 6224 Grove Drive, and I'm a Spanish teacher at Memphis Shelby County Schools. And I'm here in full support of the proposed forensic audit. Over the last 2 months, the deep corruption that permeates MSCS has been on full display for everyone to see. And it's become clear that many board members are using their positions of power to enrich themselves and their friends at the expense of the over 100,000 students within Memphis Shelby County Schools. But don't take my word for it. Look at their own public statements. We had a board member on Facebook bragging about how her pockets were getting fatter as a result of her conduct on the school board. Furthermore, the board members are openly embracing wasteful spending. Just last month, they approved a 10-year contract for a charter school with only 14 students that was failing, a school that was recommended to be closed by the Office of Charter Schools. And again, they're putting these agendas over the well-being of our students, and it's at a time where we can't afford that. You know, ask any teacher, ask any student within Memphis Shelby County Schools. I have a teacher friend who was hospitalized because of the mold in her classroom last year. I've seen students without textbooks, without curriculum. I had a student pass out in class because it was so hot last year. We do not have the capacity to be permitting this sort of wasteful spending where there's so much need in our district. So we the people deserve full transparency, and I implore you all to pass this audit and hold the school board members accountable. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Next up, Notoria Carpenter.
Good evening. My name is Notoria Carpenter, 1637 Bridgeton, Memphis, Tennessee. I'm here today to speak on behalf of parents. Far too long, children in this district have suffered because of the inconsiderate adults. We have $770 million of ESSA money that we have no clue where it went. So we do need a forensic audit. I'm asking my commissioner, District 7, Henry Brooks, to listen to your constituents and do the right thing and vote yes, yes, yes. Let's not forget about the money on contracts that's not benefiting children. But one school board member referenced her pocket getting fat on the backs of our children. More so concerning, our children don't have the resources they need and going into old buildings that need years and years of maintenance. But we a $2 billion system with a dollar bill system. You do the math. Forensic audit should have been done yesterday. Follow the money, commissioners.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Allie Byrne.
My name's Allie Byrne. My address is 418 McElroy Road. Good afternoon, commissioners. I come before you today as a former MSCS high school teacher. I now have 4 daughters, 3 of whom have been MSCS students, 2 of whom are with me today, and my 4th daughter will be in the school system in the fall of 2026. She is also with me today. As you know, the last couple months have been marked with complete frustration and even anger at how our school board conducted themselves in their hasty and downright corrupt termination of Dr. Marie Fagans. I have to admit, the more I learned about what was happening behind the scenes at the board, I knew I couldn't sit on the sidelines and not get involved. I'm grateful for the bridges God has built between my very comfortable East Memphis bubble and other communities throughout Memphis as we stand together, demanding accountability and oversight in our school board members. It is my hope that today you all vote in favor of a forensic audit of MSCS. Today, I want to speak directly to you, Chairman Whaley. I live in District 13. My children attend Richland Elementary. We love our school and our amazing community there. I believe what we have, from an incredible school board member in Amber Hewitt Garcia, to supported teachers and administrators, to parental involvement and ownership in our school, is what we all parents deserve in Memphis Shelby County Schools. And even more so, it is what our students deserve. Please vote yes for a forensic audit of MSCS. Our students have not gotten that support. And finally, Mr. Chairman, we want a fair and equitable audit carried out. We do not want someone with internal ties to the school board, the county commissioners, or anyone in city government for that matter. We've seen enough and had enough of the contracts and the kickbacks. I'll say that again. We've seen enough of the contracts and the kickbacks. Secondly, we know that you, Mr. Chairman, oversee the timetable here, and so we want this audit to be expedited because we know that every second wasted on conducting it only affects our great students that MSCS is supposed to be serving. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you very much. Next, we have Bishop Charles Lampkin.
Bishop Lampkin, 3711 Austin P. Highway. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your diligence. Thank you for your effort. We respect each and every one of you up here, but we need now, next is now, we need now a for real forensic audit. Money has been just simply squandered. We know that many of you up there come from that Memphis Shelby County School Board, and you have very deep ties and friendships that are long lasting. Cut the ties, cut the friendship, and recognize the fact that you have an obligation, an elected obligation to these children, to your constituents, and to your stakeholders to get the job done. A forensic audit is needed. It is needed now. So, if you know that you gave $50,000 away during an election cycle to a friend who sits now in District 2 and on the Memphis Shelby County School Board, who's your buddy, you know who you are, I would suggest that you have some integrity and vote the correct way. Don't pull your mask down, look over it. Hallelujah. Now is the time to do like our amazing commissioner is doing, two of them actually that sit there. I respect you, Charlie, and I respect you, Ms. Mills, and I respect each and every one of you actually. But I know that now you have to do the tough job. Vote. Please don't slow it down, Mr. Whaley. Step on the gas. And the one who's trying to follow behind you, don't think that we're not watching you, because Board Watch, is watching you. And I promise you, I will be there every step of the way, pushing on the gas, holding you to the highest level of integrity. Believe that.
Okay, thank you so much. Next, we have Kevlin Dodd.
My name is Kevlin, excuse me, Kevlin Dodd, 1690 West Southfield, Cordova, Tennessee, District 5. I have to have these glasses. I apologize. And it's hard to follow all these people, especially the one that last spoke. This is my third meeting, and I'm here to say it will not be my last. Today, I'm here to ask you to vote yes for the forensic audit of the Memphis Shelby County Schools. As a born and raised citizen of Memphis, I've always been proud to say I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. But I'm not proud of what we and the Memphis Shelby County School Board has done to our citizens, our children, and this city. We as citizens allowed this to happen, assuming the Memphis Shelby County School Board would make the right decisions for our children. I, my husband, and my 3 children received education from our city schools. My husband was also an instructor at Kingsbury and was very proud of that accomplishment. I know millions of us have always wanted a strong, good education for our children. We have failed them over the past 10 to 20 years. They deserve better. We as grandparents and parents deserve better. With the great education, children have a chance to be successful in their endeavors. Without that education, the odds of that happening are much lower. Is that what we want for them? I hope not. We were promised change during the Obama era, and yes, there was change, but 20 years later, we can now see that that change wasn't the best for our children and future generations. As a taxpayer, I want to know where all these billions of dollars went and what is spent, what has been spent the last 5 years. Transparency is the new term that all of us here are asking for. I hope you will make every effort to
Okay.
make transparency happen and vote yes for this forensic audit.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Next up, we have Patricia Postle.
Good afternoon. I'm Patricia Postle, 581 Fern Meadow Cove, Cordova, Tennessee, 38018. Very simple. I think this is a nonpartisan issue. Every citizen in this county is looking at this board to say, please vote for this forensic audit. I think we're all on the same page, and I don't want to take up too much time because there's a whole bunch of people here. We all want this. We want to know where the money was spent, how it was spent, and how we can make improvements in the future. And this forensic audit is our way forward to know what mistakes were made in the past and how we can rectify them. So please simply vote yes to the forensic audit.
All right, thank you. Next is Miranda Irk.
Hello, my name is Miranda Irk, and my address is 2727 Capon Road, Memphis, Tennessee, 38133. And I am here today because I am a concerned citizen, and I ask you today, how long does it take for a ship going in the wrong direction? How long does it take for it to change course and turn around? It just takes 3 to 5 minutes. So I plead you today, it will take about 3 to 5 minutes to vote. You can help be a part of the change in this city, the kids' lives, as well as numerous other districts across the nation that are also needing to change course as well. So about a month ago, this board decided to vote no confidence against the school board of Memphis Shelby County Schools. And because of that, you all pledged for increased accountability for the district, as well as a plan for the district to make sure that all of the students' needs are being met, the students are receiving a quality education, there are no gaps in their learning. We as teachers are held accountable. I really like all the checks and balances that we have. It helps keep me accountable. I want to make sure we're having all of that accountability at the district level with the budgeting. We also know when you all voted no confidence against the school board, it was based on shared goals of this school district being a state-of-the-art school district, a model for many cities in this nation. We also agreed that there were numerous issues that led to the no confidence vote as well. So I believe as a part of that accountability includes this forensic audit. And we have had numerous superintendents the past several years. There's a lot that we need to look into. COVID also affected a lot of the students' learning nationwide. I worked at a charter school when COVID was happening. In another state, I saw how, those funds, the extra funds were being used at my school. We actually And we
Okay.
actually,
I'm sorry, I'll have to stop you right there, but thank you so much. I think we got the message. We appreciate you being here and for
Yes.
sharing your opinion today.
yes, thank
Okay.
you.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Dinesha Fields. All right, Ms. Fields, if you state your name and address, you have 2 minutes.
Good evening, Donisha Fields, 1637 Britton Street, Memphis, Tennessee. Thank you all for finally addressing the big elephant in the room, the money at MSCS. For so long, it's been an issue. I like to recall everyone's attention to former school board member Shalia Harris. On her way out the door, she said it was the highest level of ignorance she had been a part of. She found dummy accounts that was tied to current employees of the district and school board members. And when she brought those issues to be addressed, crickets. She got no support. That's happening. It's still happening today. So that's the importance of this audit, is to send a message that no longer will people benefit with dollars on the backs of our children, with our taxpayer dollars, that we can't see them being held accountable for. So again, thank you for bringing this to the forefront, and I co-sign with all the previous speakers. I won't repeat what they said, but this audit needs to happen immediately. It needs to be done by someone with no ties to any cliques, social groups of anyone in this county. So again, thank y'all, and go Memphis.
Okay, thank you so much. Next, we have Sarah Carpenter.
Sarah Carpenter, 1637 Britton. I guess y'all say a lot of people live at 1637. We do actually live there.
I know you do.
We live there. I don't have to say much about the audit. Y'all know what the people want. And it's a song that used to say, got to give the people what they want. Y'all know the song, Charlie. You remember that, right? So I'm just going to address my county commissioner, Henry Brooks. Henry Brooks, Hyde Park, and Hollywood needs you. I'm trying to figure out how y'all go from uptown, come down Chelsea, pass through Hyde Park, and miss us in the middle and go to Douglas. We in the middle, how we keep getting missed? You need to visit your community. We'll hold our own town hall meeting, whether y'all show up or not. We're gonna hold our own town hall meeting, but you will get an invite. But if you show up, fine. If you don't, fine. Cause we the people, we taking back our own community, and we should have been doing it. I don't fight for just grandchildren anymore, children. I fight for 5 great-grandbabies, 5 great-grandbabies. Y'all, and I'm gonna give y'all hell on every hand about my children. I want to be better before they get there. I know a lot of y'all kids that went to the best schools that my grandson couldn't get in because he had a C on his report card. This is a real story, Charlie. I'm telling you. And if you want off the record, I'll tell you who it was and what school it was. But I'm going to say the name to protect the innocent, because kids are getting a great education at this school. But my grandson couldn't get in there. Guess why? Because his grandmama's name is Sarah Carpenter. That's why he couldn't get in. You know how I know? Because the principal knew me. And she know I fight like hell for kids. I didn't have no problem when Michelle Armstrong was the principal. I had 2 granddaughters graduate from Middle College High School. I just called her. I didn't have no problem. She took care of my girls over there. My time up, Mike.
You have 5 seconds.
Okay, Mike, wait. Don't slow down on this process. That's it.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks. All right, Henry Sanders.
Good afternoon, Henry Sanders, 1615 Herman Street. I just want to say, we already know everybody know what's going on. So my mama said, when you begging, get to the good part. We just want y'all to do this swift and sweet. So if anybody's suffering, it's our kids. You see what I'm saying? I come in here a lot of times to see y'all, what y'all do and how y'all enact. Y'all spend a lot of money on jails. I said 125,000 here, 200,000 here. It's going straight to 201 and other assets, but our children should come first. So if we ain't gonna do this and expedite it for our children, who we gonna do it for? For the ones at 201? A lot of that money over there going to the wayside too, because it should be a rehab. But that's what we want. We want the forensic audit yesterday. Like y'all said, it should have been done. Everybody know it's mismanagement of funds, so why we gonna keep letting them mismanage it? Yesterday. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sanders. Next up, we have Paralegal Jamie Rayford.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paralegal Jamie Rayford. I live at 880 Faxon Avenue. Good afternoon. This is my first time approaching the board, and I just want y'all to know that the community is watching and want y'all to have accountability for the city, okay? Our children are important. Next is now.
All right, thank you very much. Next, we have Worth Morgan.
Worth Morgan, 487 Goodwin, Memphis, Tennessee, 38101. County Commissioners, I know a lot of y'all already, and usually I'm in your seat for 8 years at the Memphis City Council. This is my first time doing a public comment on this side of the dais, and I'm here today on behalf of the Shelby County Republican Party, of which I was elected chairman 2 weeks ago. And one thing you might not be used to seeing is anybody from either party showing up to speak on the issue, to try to rally support, to organize the voice, to speak on behalf of the people. And whether you are a member of the Republican Party or not, a large number of your constituents are, a large part of the districts that you represent are. And we've come together and had a unanimous vote on Thursday to say that this issue, it has risen to a level of public consciousness and it is important. We ask that you vote yes on agenda item 28. I'm almost embarrassed to say, just as a Memphian, that I don't think we have done our job when it comes to election time. For one reason or another, the ugly truth of it is, in that I believe Dr. Fagan's firing was not the actual problem, but rather it was a symptom of the problem. And this is a problem that some people have been seeing for years, and a lot of the public has become aware of it just lately, is that we have unaccountable, inept, and potentially self-interested leadership at the Memphis Shelby County School Board and administration. The public trust has been shattered, and people are waking up to it. They're seeing that the emperor has no clothes. And so whether you believe that that what I'm saying is true or not, this forensic audit has the potential to, one, restore trust between the public and the school system, or two, to show wrongdoing, and then we'll be able to hold those people accountable, which will also restore the public trust, which we have to do. There are some bright stars in the administration. There's some bright stars on the school board, but they are being drowned out right now by the majority. And I think it is more than clear, certainly the media is watching this issue, the public is watching this issue, and more importantly, the kids are watching it too. And they deserve professional leadership. Let's give it to them and pass this item and begin restoring trust. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Morgan. Okay, that's the end of the comment cards that I have. Commissioner Sugarman, I'm going to go to you.
Thank you, Chair. And so I just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you. We've received hundreds of emails. I've received text messages. People have been calling me, and I hear you loud and clear. Having said that, I was one of the sponsors on the resolution for no confidence. I agree this is a nonpartisan issue. I'm very concerned about the School Board 6 as well, especially after last month and the way they voted dealing with the charter school. As an educator for 26 years, and I know some of my colleagues out there, Noah Nordstrom and the others, it impacts the classroom. When you have a board that is top-heavy, when you have schools for 5 years receive Title I and then 1 year they don't, what is going on? And so I do support this forensic audit. Having said that, I would like to make an amendment. where it says, I move to the last whereas. Now I'm listening to the people in the audience. I'm listening to my constituents of Hickory Hill. And where it says, whereas the county commission's chief administrator is hereby directed to ensure that the RFQ or single source process includes sufficient criteria for evaluating qualified, reputable, and certified accounting firms by Monday, March 31st, 2025. So I'm doing two things. In the whereas, I'm adding the or single source, and I'm also stipulating a date, Monday, March 31st, 2025.
Okay. Commissioner Sugarman's made an amendment that's seconded by Commissioner Ford that would, so the first component of that is actually just a cleanup of the whereas clause to add the option of doing a single source. And the second amendment is to set a date to engage a firm by March 31st.
That is correct.
Okay. Can we do that without objection? All right. She did get a second, Commissioner Ford, and we've accepted that without objection. Thank you, Commissioner Sugarman. Commissioner Morrison.
I was just, I'm in support, obviously, as a sponsor, but I was just going to comment on the amount that this likely, if done well, will, as many have stated, be more expensive than this number. And so that the audit will happen regardless of the cost. I mean, we'll have to work through the process appropriately, but that the funds will be identified. So many have spoken to that, and I just wanted to also speak to it. I think several of us know that everyone probably knows it'll be more than $50,000. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Morrison. Commissioner Thornton.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to get in queue twice. The first to ask some process-related questions. So with Commissioner Sugarman's amendment to initiate it by the 31st, then what is the timeline that we can expect for this process to be completed?
Well, so I think that that's a part of a process of getting solicitations from reputable firms that they would lay out, depending on the scope of a forensic audit, the length of time they anticipated taking, which, to Commissioner Morrison's point, I think we get started with what we've authorized, what is before us, and then in forensic audits, you can go deeper in certain categories over certain dates, certain types of expenditures. That goes much deeper than a traditional annual financial audit, which is what's required of the district every year. So that's really going to be determined by a firm. I think what the language I put in committee was in there such that it would help accelerate the timeline, so we not have to go through a standard RFQ, then an RFP process, that we've got the option to set a single source. So what that does is allows us to expedite the process to get it started and make sure that we're hiring a reputable firm per the other amendment to ensure that there's independence from anyone that would be sort of in the audit itself, which is also what we've heard from the public today and in previous meetings.
So with it coming from the commission contingency, the single source process would be directed by the commission?
The resolution is written to request the chief administrator, so CAO Perry, right, under my guidance, to find a qualified auditing firm that can do a forensic audit and be independent, which again, I think is quite important, but to be able to do it in an expeditious manner. So the single source language allows for that to happen.
And so I ask these questions because I'm assuming that if the audit comes back and there's something that needs to be corrected, we're in budget season. And so the time for us to be able to have those conversations, I would hate for us to have a completed audit that is on the other side of budget season where that's a missed opportunity. So is there any way to speak to how the intent is to be able to have a finalized forensic audit before the budget season wraps up?
Well, I think we can put that in the engagement that we want to do with the firm, that they need to have some findings by a certain date. What Commissioner Sugarman's proposed ensures that there is an engagement with the firm by a set date.
So if I hear you correctly, it'll be most appropriate once we select the firm to be able to put that date inside the resolution? Or will it come back before the body? I just want to make sure, just to the public, if we're doing a forensic audit, it's best served to be able to apply it to this budget season that we're in. We don't want to complete a forensic audit and then the budget season passes, because then it would just be a pointless process. So for clarity, at what point do we stipulate when we want to have the audit, some type of summation to process?
Okay, so I think another thing that's helpful, should be helpful for the public as well, is that what we are asking for is a forensic audit that sheds light on additional financial decision-making that's happening within the district that doesn't normally come through a regular traditional annual audit. It gets test trials, certain dates. It's nowhere near as deep as this would be around specific dates, specific types of funds like ESSER funds. And so what that does is more so sheds light on what has actually transpired for the public and for us. But we also have to recognize that state law only allows us so much oversight over the district's budget, right? Especially the general operating budget, such that we have to maintain maintenance of effort. So there could be concurrent conversations around what's happening at the state with regard to the authority that the local legislative bodies have. But what we have before us today is an opportunity to shed light and increase transparency on financial transactions that are happening through the funds that we are appropriating. We also have to be clear, at this point, we don't have the authority, even within budget cycle, to make adjustments within the operating budget of the district. However, we do have that authority within the capital budget, as you know.
Thank you. I'm
Okay.
back in queue.
Yeah, sure. Commissioner Thornton.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for that. I think that the conversation just doesn't need to end here today. There need to be ongoing conversations about the scope of work that we are engaging in and what are the realistic expectations. So once we get a report, then what? That's a lingering question for me. And so to the advocates, to the active voices today, to our body, I would just like for us to be able to just answer that so that we can realistically move with intentionality about what we're trying to do with the information that we're investing dollars to get this, forensic audit done, to produce. So that part aside, I wanted to spend some time today just speaking to the necessity of the audit and so many things that have been said before. This morning, I started my day shadowing 2 student athletes at Melrose High School. And so since 7:30 this morning, Ms. Carpenter, I've been in Melrose High School, truthfully, being very saddened by our current public education system. And this is by no means a slight to Melrose, because I believe if I walked into Hamilton, if I walked into Oak Haven, I would see something similar to what I saw today. And the absence of our teachers is completely, Noah, a disservice to our students. I was really taken aback to see how many classrooms I showed up to, and there was no teacher there. With students sitting on computers, expected to just be self-taught, and students having questions, and they're using literally Google Translation to be able to answer their Spanish classes content, and it's a very sad state that our public education is in. And I just encourage everyone here, while we wait on the forensic audit, every single person here needs to act. We need to put ourselves into our public education system as chaperones, as subs, as just bodies in buildings to be able to show our students that we care and support. I promise you the expertise that you have, the students need. And so I witnessed that firsthand today. This school system is by no means deserving of anybody's child. And it just saddens me to see that I was shadowing seniors who are soon to graduate. So these young Black men who will soon be 18, 19-year-old Black men, there will not be empathy for them, Ms. Carpenter, as we all know. So when we talk about 201 Henry, I just think about what are the implications of what system that is knowingly failing our children, and then one day we're going to look at them and we're going to say your behavior is a problem that you have to own. And so it's just very, very sad, and we do not hold enough accountability for how we know that we're failing our kids. So before we get this forensic audit, I just think that we just need to hold space for the fact that we've done a lot of damage for generations with this system, and I just hope that we don't just isolate the conversation on MSCS, that we look to these communities, that we look to 201, that we look to Region 1. There are implications of a failed public education system all across our county, and we need to start to make some bigger connections, and I appreciate everyone's attention here today. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Thornton. Before we take item 28 to a vote, I just again want to thank everyone for being here today, especially for those who this is your first time coming to a county commission meeting and speaking. It does take a lot to come on down here, either take off work, take time away from family to speak before us. So we really appreciate you making that sacrifice to be a public servant yourself. So with that, Madam Clerk, please prepare the screen to vote on item 28 as amended.
My screen is not coming up. Would you please put me as a yes?
Okay, Commissioner Mills is a yes. Okay, we can close the screen and record the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Ford, Wright, Thornton, Morrison, Brooks, Avan, and Chairman Whaley. We have 11 aye votes.
Item 28 passes. Thank you all again. We have a request to move up item 32. We have a few people to speak on that as well. So if we can do that without objection, Madam Parliamentarian, please read item 32.
Item 32 comes from the General Government Committee with Commissioner Mills as Vice Chair. Item 32 is a resolution amending fiscal year 2024 through 2025 compensation policy, sponsored by Commissioner Chairman Michael Whaley, deciding to substitute and sent down without recommendation in February 5th, 2025 committee meeting. And this item does not meet requirements of the permanent rules. So, Chair, once this item is properly before us, I ask that you would entertain a motion to suspend the rules.
Okay, thank you. And just a note for those as you're exiting the chambers, if you can try to keep your voices down so we can continue through our meeting, that would be very helpful, especially for those listening online. Item 32 is moved by Commissioner Thornton, seconded by Commissioner Caswell. Commissioner Mills, can we have a committee report?
Yes, that comes to us without recommendation.
Okay, without a recommendation, Commissioner Ford, do you want to make the motion to suspend the rule?
Yes. Wait a minute. This was your item. What rule are we suspending so I can do it from here?
This item's been before us a few times, so I'm not sure which specific.
I believe it didn't complete finance review.
Maybe it was fine. So I tell you what, we'll use that rule. I move to suspend that particular rule that the parliamentarian articulated for the purposes of getting this item on the floor.
Okay, the rule has been moved to suspend by Commissioner Ford, seconded by Commissioner Sugarman. Can we do that without objection? Okay, hearing none, the item is properly before us. All right, Madam Clerk Sawyer, thanks for joining us. Do you have any commentary on item 32?
Thank you so much, Chair. Good afternoon, Tammy Sawyer, General Sessions Court Clerk. We introduced this item. A group of electeds came together in order to find ways to ensure that we were able to move around several items within our budget and hiring. After a sort of mediation between us and the commission, we met with the administration represented by Director Gerald Thornton, as well as the Civil Service Review Board. And we all came to agreement, which is the clean item that you have before you. This was moved down without recommendation, partially, I believe, because of the request for us to include the Shelby County Clerk, Wanda Halbert. I did speak with Ms. Halbert yesterday. Some people were watching the Super Bowl. I was talking to Clerk Halbert. She has received the item. She has not responded in the affirmative or negative, but she has received the item. I have briefed her on the item. It is an item that will impact all elected officials and their ability to make certain changes to line items within their budget. And this is to ensure that we are able to fully staff and hire for the betterment of Shelby County government. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Ford?
Chair, thank you. I might have to get in a second time. I'm not going to go into the trust piece as I did Wednesday, but I do want to, I'm going to support the item, but I just wanted to be stated on the record that if there are needs that these respective offices have, I am asking that if it is a specific finite need, that you put in a presentation and you state, well, I need to do this for these employees or for this administration that you have, that we definitely do that. I brought up in another item that there was an internal controls challenge, and I talked a little bit of it with Mr. Thornton, and I'm going to ask him if he can answer a little bit of my question. Again, I'm going to support the item, but there are a couple of things that I still have a challenge with, and I'm going to give an example. I know people get tired of me bringing up the $5.2 million, but I do plan on bringing it up again because I remember there was a particular elected that stated that particular salaries for ADAs needed to go up, even though I disagreed that we should have been the funding source. It should have been the state, but that was water under the bridge. And it was a multitude of those positions. I asked from HR every month for the incumbency reports that show all of the positions, the people that are in there, et cetera, et cetera. So we know how many ADA spots there are and whatnot. My question to the HR head is, this body passed 5.2 million free and clear. I know you stated on record as far as the compensation policy, there would have been challenges. However, this body did decide to put $5.2 million out of the rainy day fund into the DA / the other division that gets a percentage. So, yeah, thank you. So with that being said, after that money leaves here, does that particular elected, even though he or she may come down and say that the intent of the funding is supposed to go to X, that when it leaves here, it could easily go to Y, Z, W, or whatever else the case may be? For example, if it was supposed to go to elevate ADAs, could that elected official easily use that same money for another purpose?
Gerald Thornton, Director of Human Resources. I'm not just going to leave it to the...
Director Thornton, will you pull the microphone closer to you, please?
Gerald Thornton, Director of Human Resources. It's not just the DA's office that actually does that. And that's one of the issues we had with the compensation policy, and tried to make those changes. I think you making specific reference to the fact that since the DA's office, all their personnel is actually appointed. And appointed personnel, if the positions are vacant, they're not required to go before the hiring review committee. All they have to do is call us and say, listen, we want to hire an accountant or a secretary or the like. And based upon our compensation policy, we can convert those positions over to whatever they're asking for. And that's one of the questions I've had, or one of the concerns I've had since being Director of HR for the last 3 years, is in that various elected officials, some of whom are sitting here right now, actually come in and ask you all for positions, and then once you all give them the money, those positions are converted over. They're not used for the intent in which they are described before this panel. I'll give an example, not in specific, but for instance, let's say a clerk needs some clerks. They may come down and say, I want 8 clerks, for instance. When you all vote on it and give them those 8 clerks, then they can go back behind the scenes and convert those positions over to appointed. They can make them clerks, they can make them secretaries, and they can hire whomever they want to. And so with the changes that we made in the compensation policy, that's exactly what we were trying to stop. I don't think you all heard exactly all behind the scenes is what happened. I know various electeds called you all and they told you all their positions, but they did not tell you the exact whole truth behind what was really happening with those positions. I'm not going to say they misrepresented the facts, but they were not completely accurate as to how they described how they actually use those positions.
Okay, all right, thank you, Director Thornton. Commissioner Thornton?
Thank you, Chair. Director Thornton, is this a time-sensitive resolution? So
it is not time sensitive. As you're aware, that by the 16th or 23rd of the month of April, that's when we present our compensation policy. Again, we have made various changes within the compensation policy. I wish we could have actually aired it out in the public so you all actually get to see exactly what the intent was when we made those changes. I know this honorable board asked us to go back and make those changes without really hearing what my position as well as others' positions were. That's the way we made those changes. Because what we're trying to do is actually help the county save money and be consistent with how we make across the board when it comes to the compensation study and compensation policy.
thank you. I believe Clerk Sawyer wants to speak on this as well.
Thank you very much, Tammy Sawyer, General Sessions Court Clerk. I do want to say, Commissioner Thornton, to your question, while there is a upcoming compensation study presentation for the next budget year, one of the reasons we have been wanting to get this passed is because this is the 5th time we've come with this resolution. Either it's been deferred or pushed back. And I do appreciate the opportunity to meet with the administration, to meet with the civil service representatives to get this right. But because of this, a lot of our hiring options have been limited. Since starting on September 1st, I've been able to hire maybe 1/10 of my vacancies. And so some of the issues here, we would like to be able, now that we have an agreement across the board, to move forward, because we also know implementation will take some time, and hiring can take 6 to 8 weeks, not just because of HR, but, you know, all of us, everything that has to happen to get somebody hired and on board. So I just want to share that timeline as well.
Nice. I believe. Trustee, are you speaking on this as well?
Regina Newman, County Trustee. I just wanted to echo what Clerk Sawyer says, that we do consider it time sensitive. We started this process of looking at what needed to be changed last summer, and it came up for the first time before you in November, then December, then January, and it's been delayed and delayed. And so we would really like to move forward to be able to do anything this fiscal year.
So I'm happy that you mentioned the delays. Over the course of that, I saw this is just going back to the same point in committee, the preparation lists of clerks that were listed for the prepared by section. It didn't list Clerk Halbert.
No,
And
it didn't.
in committee, it was said that she was not invited. So over the course of the delays of this particular resolution, has she not been invited to any of those?
She did attend one meeting. This is not a formal group. This is the group that got together to move things forward.
Okay, so it was said that she wasn't invited, and so I just want to do due diligence to fellow elected colleagues to make sure, and I also talked to her, and she wasn't happy about learning of the lack of invitation. I'll get back in queue,
Okay.
Chairman, thank you.
Thanks. Yep. All right, Commissioner Ford.
Thank you. I'll try to be finished on this second round. So just for the record, the reason why I'm supporting this item is because I believe that the electeds need to have the latitude that they have not been able to receive for the purposes of taking care of the business in their elected capacity and their job. What I will have a challenge with is if any elected comes down and states that their need is X, but when I go and look at the incumbency reports and I look at other things, X is not what the money was used for. It was used for other things. So that's where my concern is. And you're right, Mr. Thorne, it's not just the DA's office. There were a few other offices that I saw recently to where there have been significant raises to bring administrators in and whatnot. I won't bring those up, but the numbers are the numbers, and numbers don't lie, but lies do numbers. But I'm going to go back to the internal control piece. And even upon this passing, there still has to be an internal control to where if this body votes to give elected X particular dollar figure for the purposes of whatever they present in their PowerPoint or whatever the case may be, it needs to go specifically to that, even if we disagree regarding compensation policy or whatnot. But what should not be acceptable to anybody on this body or your office is if money was supposed to go, I'm gonna just use the DA as an example again, $5.2 million basically went to those positions specifically going up. And when I see that that was not the case, even though you say it might be completely above board, a reasonable person could say, can he really do that with a state ADA slot? And if that's the case, shouldn't that person, if that slot is what we approved for the increase, still have to produce any type of credentials like a law license to fill that spot? And you heard me regarding residency requirements on Wednesday. It's just interesting that if everything, and I saw the email from Jessica Indigaro as far as what you sent. So even if that is the case, it should not be practiced by any elected to come to this body and say, hey, I need this dollar amount. And then you go back and then I find out, oh, you didn't spend the money on what you asked us for a few months ago. That should never be acceptable, regardless of whether you're the DA or a clerk or the trustee or a register or whatever the case may be. But if this commissioner finds out that it doesn't match up, I'm good at putting spreadsheets out, and then that's when I'm definitely going to ask, that's not what you came for, and then you can come up with your own justification. So, Chair, I'm just want to say that on the record. If anybody's coming to us, it goes back to what you said. If they're coming to us, at least be straight 100.
If I may address that,
Yeah,
Gerald-
I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ford. Director Thornton?
Gerald
briefly.
Thornton, Director of Human Resources, I'll be very brief. I welcome that because what you just described is what myself and my compensation team's been asking for. Because what you just described, sir, is exactly what we're asking for. We think that there should be some oversight as to what the final salaries are. Because based upon what we have here with the new changes, there are no limitations as to what you can do. We actually have had elected officials who've been paying subordinates more money than the elected official, which is actually controlled by CTAS. I welcome you all to have some type of oversight over that.
Okay, thanks, Director Thornton. Commissioner Thornton?
Thank you, Chair. Just picking up where I left off. So I support the work that y'all have done, and I appreciate y'all for getting consensus, but it has just been acknowledged that it has not been in totality. Clerk Halbert deserves the same respect that the rest of us do as electeds, and for her to say that she has searched her inbox for invitations that she did not receive, it's a problem, particularly, and I say this to Commissioner Wright respectfully, we have had this discussion where she has used that as a rebuttal that I have not been included in communication. So I think it just sets a dangerous, not even precedence, it just literally allows her an out to be able to say that she's not included. And so whether she supports coming to the group or not, I do think that it just needs to be, something that's checked off the list. She was extended the same invitation as her peers to be able to be included. And notably, on the preparation list of electeds who supported this particular resolution or came up with this resolution, her name is not on the list. In committee, you weren't there, trustee, it was said that she was not invited. And so I don't know if you have a better interpretation of what that means. I don't know who within this delegation is extending the invitations, but Clerk Halbert, per my conversation with her, has said that she did not receive the invitations. So how do I know right now that this is something that she supports if she hasn't been invited into the conversation? So I'll allow you to speak before I make this motion to defer it to the next committee, because she needs to be able to be given due diligence and time. I know that you said over the course of, a couple of days since committee, she's been reached out to. I just don't think that that's appropriate for our colleagues to just be given such short notice when others have been able to give appropriate time. So that's where I rest my case. I want to be able to support her and not intentionally box her out of a right that she has as a fellow elected.
Regina Newman County trustee, this started a long time ago. She did attend a meeting. So you can't say she wasn't ever invited because she attended a meeting.
A meeting is what I hear you say, but there were multiple meetings.
Let me explain this in a different way. This compensation policy came to the commission last spring as an add-on. None of us were consulted at all. It affects every office of every office in county government, every office, juvenile court judge, DA, everybody. They aren't on the list either. Because when we decided to start having lunch to talk about what could be done more smoothly for our offices, it was a group of electeds having lunch. We don't have to sunshine our meetings. It's nothing formal. We're not voting on anything. We're talking about ways to make the county work better. So if certain people can have those meetings and make the county work better and avoid the distractions of certain other people, then that's what we're going to do. So while we didn't get any notice when the compensation policy passed through here last spring, it was an add-on, we have been here, tonight is the 5th time to get this passed. It's been on every agenda. Everybody can look at it. If they have something to say, whether you're the DA or the juvenile court judge or somebody else in the county administration or anybody else, everybody's had notice.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Newman. Commissioner Thornton, you want to go ahead and make a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion to defer this to the next committee on the 19th. so that we can have proper time to allow Clerk Halbert to respond and potentially add her name to the list of preparers for this resolution.
Point of information, Chair.
Okay, she hadn't gotten a second yet.
Well, I don't know if it's, she said defer and then committee. Are we?
Yeah, she meant
That's my point of
refer
information.
to committee, yes.
So we're referring and
The
not
motion
deferring?
is, the motion is to refer it to the February 19th committee. Is that right, Commissioner Thornton?
Yeah, I went to a state training where they said defer and refer can be used interchangeably, but maybe I was ill-advised.
That was my only point of information, so
Okay.
I'm.
We're not going to let that derail us. We know we're trying to send it to the committee on the 19th. Was there a second to her motion?
Point of information. I've
Commissioner
been in the
Sugarman.
queue, and so I want to make sure that I'm able to get my questions answered before we defer,
Yeah,
whatever, to the committee. That's what, I just want to put it out there because so many times I'm overlooked. I just want to put it on the record that I'm in the queue, and I do want to have questions to be answered before we go ahead and vote it down or up or whatever.
Okay. Great. So there was a motion to refer it to committee on the 19th. It was properly seconded by Commissioner Ford. We still have a commissioner in the queue. That before we take any action on that motion, I'm going to recognize Commissioner Sugarman to speak on this item.
Thank you, Chair. And so I do agree as far as efficiency is concerned, and I have some questions for Director Thornton. As far as this resolution, does this, because my concern is, I'm going to say this, so many times clerks will come up here and they'll say, okay, we have the working poor and, we really want a salary increase for them. And then it goes back and whatever happens, happens. And then they come back and say, well, the appointees need more money because they have this degree and that degree. But so often we forget about the working poor. So my question then becomes to you, does this resolution address the issues that if they come before us and claim they want the money for certain individuals, certain positions, and they do not use it as they come before us, is there anything that we can, as far as oversight or clawback or anything like that? Because I've seen it happen in the 2 years I've been on the commission.
Cheryl Thornton, Director of Human Resources. I think when we went, well, I'm pretty certain, when we went before the Civil Service Merit Board, that's one of the things that the Civil Service Merit Board, and it's also been codified in Ms. Newman's final version, where it says subject to the approval of Human Resources. I think it's mentioned 3 times in the document that Ms. Newman in the final markup. So Human Resources, it's not just me, it's the team, actually gets to look at the last and final request of the electeds. More often than not, we actually denied the elected officials' requests for increases. But based upon what's happening now, we would not have any, we would have very little oversight, if any, unless we bring it before you, like Commissioner Ford said, when it comes to giving lump sum increases to the appointed staff. So based upon the changes we made, or we've agreed to, and then we went before civil service, there is nothing that would preclude an elected official, if he or she decided to give a $50,000 raise to one of their appointeds, they can do it. There are no limitations. Whereas we used to have a cap, we had a review. And that's the reason why we actually redrafted and we crafted the way we did. And for the point of clarification, I think Ms. Newman keeps using the term that was an add-on. We're required to bring this compensation policy to you all every April. So it's not just an add-on. And we did follow the rules. We did put it into the system that the county commission uses. And the whole entire country, as well as the World Club, actually looked at this document prior to you all voting on it. So I do take offense to that. But yes, there are no limitations based upon the way we've actually redrafted this resolution. And primarily, and I can't speak for the electeds, I hear them, the chairs popping up, but this was an intent to go outside of the compensation policy and to enhance the appointed staff. It was not about the working poor. It was about, because the working poor, as you say, that's what the compensation policy, and the terms, I think sometimes you may not be familiar with the terms. Classified means civil service. Unclassified means appointed. Classified staff is
Okay,
controlled
Director
by the
Thornton, thank you. So we're starting to do some committee work here. We're in a commission meeting where we're either voting this item or defer it. So where this started was we had an agreement. It doesn't seem like it's there right now. So I want to make sure we get back to the motion that's been proposed on the floor by Commissioner Thornton to refer it to the 19th committee. It was properly seconded by Commissioner Ford. Is there an objection to that motion?
Chair, I think we're still on the discussion on that since you got people in the queue?
Well, so we first need to properly either object to it, or you can object to it for the purpose of the discussion. Otherwise, we have to accept it.
I want to object.
Okay, so there's an objection.
There we go.
Great. So there's an objection to the motion first, and I'll have discussion on that motion. And again, this has been deferred many times, but what's happening right now is extended committee discussion, which should not happen at a commission meeting. Okay, I'm going to go to Commissioner Ford, and then come back to Commissioner Sugarman.
Oh, okay. To the maker of the motion to refer back to committee, what is the goal of what you want to get out of the hold for the purposes of us entertaining this hold? Through the chair.
Chair, if I may, so my whole goal here is just to be able to formally send notice to Clerk Halbert, give her a time frame to be able to make comment if she so chooses, as just proper due diligence to be able to allow her to be included. It was mentioned in the last committee that she was not invited, as if this core group decided that she was not worthy as an equal to be able to be included. And I just feel like when you look at the document, all of her colleagues are listed as supporters of this. And so we have a clerk who continues to headline, and one of her rebuttals is that she does not know that she is not included. And so for those of us that might be on a warpath to take her down, I would think that this will be something that you would want to close, because she continues to use this exact same point. And I think it's a very valid point when she says that she's searching her inbox and there was not an invitation for meetings. The trustee has acknowledged that she attended one meeting, but also the trustee has said that they move forward deciding what they want to do whenever they decide to want to do it, how they want to do it. And so apparently that has turned into Clerk Halbert is not involved, which I think is very problematic. So again, I support the item. I don't support the process. And I do stand behind the clerk's point that if I'm not included, don't expect me to act a certain type of way. We're talking about a compensation policy. How many employees does she have? This is not a small operation that she manages. This is a policy that she's directly going to be expected to execute and implement. And so she should be able to have her due diligence to be able to chime in on it. So that's a long-winded way to say, I just want to be able to give her appropriate time to say that she had the opportunity to be one of the co-preparers for this resolution.
So hypothetically, and this is still on the motion to defer, so my questions now would be, if we decided to entertain this, refer back to the next committee, which would be the 19th, who are we charging to initiate this contact again? And let's say that we get the same outcome again that we have right now. Because I already heard that there's no time sensitivity on this, but at the same time, I'm just trying to figure this all out.
Okay, all right. Would you like to respond to that question? Okay, Clerk Sawyer.
Thank you, Clerk Sawyer. Because I was the one who volunteered in committee to reach out to Clerk Halbert, and as I shared, I spoke to her for about an hour yesterday and also forwarded the resolution to her. I will take responsibility if this is what the body chooses to move forward with. What I will also do, if this is amenable to the body, is I will CC the elected officials sitting here so that everyone is in the loop and await her response. If the deadline is for her to respond before committee and or to attend committee, I would like clarity on what to ask. I sent it to her and I asked if she had any input, reservations, or questions. I did not hear back, but that was yesterday, so understood. So I'll take responsibility based on, to reach out to her on behalf of the drafters, based on what you all would like said, if that's what we do moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Commissioner Chair, I do want to note that in the language, we do ensure that whatever benefits come of this, the clerk is named. And so she's not excluded in that. But I will ensure, if the body chooses, that we reach out.
Okay, so that's very good. Thank you for offering that. So Commissioner Thornton, you have moved to refer it. It was properly seconded. It was objected to. So unless the commissioner who objected wants to withdraw it, we'll take it to a vote on whether to refer it to the committee on February 19th. Okay, so Madam Clerk, please prepare the screen to vote on the motion to refer. A yes vote will send it to committee. A no vote keeps it in front of us tonight.
Point of parliamentary inquiry for this vote. Since this is the procedural vote, this is just majority present in voting.
Madam Parliamentarian?
Since we have
That's correct.
less than 13, okay, thank you.
Majority of present and voting.
Point of information. So a yes means what? A yes vote means what?
Okay,
Chair?
a yes vote will send it to committee. A no vote keeps it in front of us today.
Thank you.
Okay, we can close the screen and record the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Ford, Wright, Jordan, Avant, and Chairman Whaley. We have 9 aye votes.
Okay, item 32 is referred to February 19th. Commissioners, we're going to go back to our
Chair.
ordinances.
Just for clarity, is the ask that I invite the clerk to commission meeting or that I ask the clerk to respond before a certain date? And
Okay, I think we-
would you prefer I send this question in email? I don't want to take up too
I
much
think
time.
the question was to ensure that she's included in this last iteration of what's being presented before us. And so if it's certainly helpful, and I'll defer to Commissioner Thornton on whether she'd like to see her appear in person, but I think the concept was that feeling that everyone was included in this most recent iteration of what's before us. Commissioner Thornton.
I would want to force her, so if you could just ask for a response by committee,
Okay.
and then leave it up to her to show up for committee or commission.
Understood, thank you.
All right, thank you. Item number 22.
Item 22 comes from the Law Enforcement Corrections and Courts Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Wright. Item 22 is an ordinance first reading, an ordinance amending Chapter 14, Section 14 through 30 of the Shelby County Code of Ordinances to establish pay parity between the Shelby County Division of Corrections, SCDC, correctional officers, and the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, SCSO, corrections deputies, sponsored by Commissioner Erica Sugarman. This item was amended in February 5th, 2025 committee meeting.
Item 22 is moved by Commissioner Sugarman, seconded by Commissioner Thornton. Commissioner Wright, can we have a committee report?
Mr. Chair, this comes down with a favorable recommendation.
Okay, thank you. This ordinance is on first reading. Commissioner Sugarman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. So do we have any speakers on this item? No? Okay, if not, I'm gonna go on. And so this is an ordinance just to replace the resolution that was sponsored by Chair Whaley, Commissioner Eddie Jones, Commissioner Mark Billingsley, Commissioner Amber Mills, Commissioner Reginald Milton, Commissioner Van Turner, Commissioner Tammy Sawyer, and Commissioner Mikhail Lowry. And since the 2 years that I've been here, there have been issues where the Sheriff's Department maintenance received a raise. However, the county maintenance workers who work right beside them were not receiving the same raise. And so this is just to codify that resolution. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. I'd like to make a motion to move this clean exhibit into the record. Thank you. And the exhibit is just the resolution that I just mentioned, and it was executed and signed by the mayor on January 14th, 2022.
Okay, I don't have a copy of that exhibit. Sorry, Commissioner Sherman, are you saying this is already in the system, this exhibit?
That's a clean copy of the one in the system. If you look at Granicus, you have my handwriting all over it. That was not intended to be included on the committee meeting. That is a clean
Okay, well,
copy.
yeah, I think we can administratively make sure we swap that out for the
Thank
next
you.
reading. So we'll make sure that's, the clean version swapped out for the second reading. Thanks, Commissioner Sugarman. All right, Commissioner Ford?
Thank you, thank you, Commissioner Sugarman, for that clarity, because I was wondering what was going on. It's the same thing, just not with your handwriting on it, okay. So I don't know why Ms. Shaw went back to her seat. Come on back up here, please. I rise in support of this ordinance for a couple of reasons. Number one, the aforementioned resolution that's in the system, in case anybody needs to see it. This was the exhibit that I asked the dirty version to be put into the system on Wednesday. But if you look, there were a supermajority of commissioners that wanted to make sure that there was some type of parity with those who were in corrections. You know, several times when we have helped the sheriff's division, corrections is going to come right after and say, we need hours. The challenge is the jailers are in the sheriff's budget. Corrections is under the mayor's budget. We should go ahead and assume that corrections and the jailers are not going to be together. Maybe the next sheriff will decide to entertain that, whoever he or she is, but this is where we're at right now. So what I see is that it was signed January 14, 2022, but it was brought to my attention from Ms. Shaw and others that a pocket veto transpired, which basically means that it may have been signed off, but it wasn't executed accordingly. I believe if it was, we wouldn't have this in front of us. Now in the form of an ordinance, it would be codified so that the change would have to happen. This is nowhere different than what we did when the trustee came down and we discussed the tax relief matching program. In the past, we would have to put in the money because it was not in the mayor's proposed budget. We ended up codifying it. The commission decided to unanimously support that. Now that item is going to have to be in the proposed budget. So my colleague, Commissioner Sugarman, is doing the same thing, using that as an example for the purposes of making sure that those in corrections automatically get it so that those individuals do not have to come down here and beg for parity with their counterparts. How many of you all will want Ms. Shaw's job or anybody else? He took his hand down. He took his hand down. The decent thing that we should do is to make sure that there is parity. Otherwise, if we don't entertain it now, we're going to entertain it, Mr. Chair, around budget. And then that process will have to happen. Of course, it's going to be a dollar figure, but as I stated before, hey, this is the same body. They gave the administration an extra $18 million in maintenance of effort. So I don't believe any of that went to corrections. I believe that this ordinance should give the parity that is deserved, and I will yield back to the original sponsor. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Ford. Just to clarify that the motion that was made by Commissioner Sugarman to amend to substitute out the clean version, seconded by Commissioner Ford, was done without objection. Commissioner Sugarman, I see you in the queue. We also have a comment card on this item, but if you'd like to speak first, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. And so I just want, the attorney pointed out to me, okay, that I made a mistake. I just want to correct it on the record. The pay parity ordinance is only for officers, not all employees of sheriff and Division of Corrections. And so I just want to say that on record. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have a comment card from Hope Shaw. Ms. Shaw, if you want to come up, state your name and address, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Hope Shaw, 1045 Mullen Station. I represent AFSCME as well as the correctional officers at Shelby County Division of Corrections. Few years ago, we were granted pay parity through the mayor as working with Shelby County Correction officers as well as with the Shelby County deputies under the sheriff. We were granted that parity. We was given that parity. However, when the sheriff came down and asked for additional 5% for his employees, since we have the pay parity, we were not given that same 5%, which was already discussed as in the parity. I have been down here several times before when some other employees got their pay parity, and I've stated this time and time again that we should be treated as equal. Right now, we are currently housing Shelby County Sheriff Office inmates in our facility. We feed them, we watch them as they walk up the walkway. We're doing the same job under the same roof. So there should be no misunderstanding that we do the same job. So we're just asking for the same pay, doing the same job. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for being here. All right, so this ordinance is on first reading. Madam Clerk, please put a screen to vote on item 22. All right, we can close the screen and record the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Ford, Wright, Gordon, Brooks, Avant, and Chairman Whaley. We have 10 aye votes.
Item 22 will go on to a second reading. Madam Parliamentarian, please read items 23, 24, and 25.
Items 23 through 25 come from the Land Use Planning, Transportation, and Code Enforcement Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Avant. Item 23 is an ordinance second reading, joint ordinance with the City of Memphis, Tennessee, adopting the 2018 edition of the International Code Council, International Energy Conservation Code, and providing for its implementation by amendment to the Memphis and Shelby County Building and Residential Codes, sponsored by Commissioner Shante K. Avant. Item 24 is an ordinance second reading, joint ordinance further amending the 2021 edition of the ICC International Residential Code and revised local amendments, sponsored by Commissioner Shante K. Avant. Item 25 is an ordinance second reading, joint ordinance further amending the 2021 edition of the ICC International Building Code and previous local amendments, including certain appendices, sponsored by Commissioner Shante K. Avant.
Okay, thank you. If we can get a mover and seconder, moved by Commissioner Thornton, seconded by Commissioner Ford. Vice Chair Avant, can we have a committee report on 23 through 25?
Yes, Chair, all came down with a favorable recommendation.
Okay, thank you. So we have Director Zena here with us. Anything you want to add in addition to what was already said in committee?
John Zena, Planning and Development. Nothing to add, but happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So we're voting here on second reading ordinances on number 23, 24, 25. Madam Clerk, please prepare the screen to vote. Okay, we can close the screen and record the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Clay Bibbs, Mills, Ford, Wright, Gordon, Morrison, Avant, and Chairman Whaley. Commissioner Brooks has abstained. I have 8 ayes and 1 abstain.
Okay, 23, 24, and 25 will go on to a third reading. Item number 26.
Item 26 comes from Core City, Neighborhoods, and Housing Committee with Commissioner Mills as acting chair. Item 26 is an ordinance first reading. Ordinance to provide for the establishment of an administrative fee to be imposed by the Shelby County Landbank for the advertising, notification, and processing of offers to purchase surplus property, sponsored by Commissioner McWright.
All right, 26 is moved by Commissioner Ford, seconded by Commissioner Sugarman. Commissioner Mills, can we have a committee report?
Yes, that item comes to us with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Commissioner Ford, you have the floor.
Thank you. Chair, in preparation for third reading on this item, in order for this to be adopted, will it require a 2/3 vote? Or is that a question to the attorney through the chair? I see a nod, but
All right,
for
Attorney
anybody
Ingram,
that's
will you weigh in
listening-
on that? This is, what kind of vote margin do we need on this item?
Marcy Ingram, Legislative Counsel, you will be changing the purchasing policy, so it will require 2/3 vote pursuant to the charter.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thanks, Commissioner Ford. Commissioner Brooks?
Thank you. I'd like for Ms. Woods to come down and just kind of give us a brief summary of the intent of this.
Thank you, Esther Sykes-Wood, Landbank Administrator. Y'all may be familiar with the administrative fee that we currently charge on all applications for the purchase of delinquent tax properties. We brought that ordinance to this body a couple years ago. This is a similar ordinance, however, it is not for delinquent tax properties. It is for other real property that we did not get in tax sale. So we have a lot of property that the county no longer needs, and if someone wants to buy the property, this would be the application fee that would apply.
So how would this administrative fee be implemented? How would you use this fee?
So the new purchasing policy for these surplus properties would allow them to go on the website and purchase the property, or to make the application for the property. So we will collect that amount when they apply for the property online. So it's an online.
Okay, and so why do you need this fee, though?
Oh, thank you, Esther Sykes-Wood, Landbank Administrator. These are the costs that the county incurs with each of these transactions. So instead of the county covering the costs, the individuals who are purchasing the property are better equipped to pay for these things like advertising in the newspaper, the software itself, the paper to put out notices, things like that.
Did we say how much that fee would be?
I'm sorry, could you repeat
How
that?
much is that fee? Do you anticipate the fee being? How much do you anticipate the administrative fee being?
Oh, thank you. It's I believe it's $70, and we have a cap at $100, and it's reviewed annually
Okay, and that is per item, right?
per application. Yes,
Per
ma'am.
application. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Brooks. Commissioner Thornton?
Thank you, Chair. Wondering what's the fiscal impact on your budget as you are accruing this administrative fee?
This so you're asking about the impact?
Yeah, you said that there's just a nominal amount of surplus properties, right?
Currently, there's about, I would say, less than 20 that are surplus. Of course, we can always surplus more. So this isn't, something we do a lot. However, I think perhaps the previous process for selling surplus properties was pretty archaic, so that's probably why we don't have too many of those sales. We do have a lot of properties that could potentially be surplus and listed on the website so that the public actually knows that they can get these properties.
And I believe in committee you said that currently the list is not on the website.
Correct.
When will it be listed?
Once we get this administrative fee approved, then I'm going to route the new sales policy for these properties to my to the Director of Public Works and to the Mayor for signature. And once we have that all signed off, then we will start the process, which would include listing the properties online.
So a timeline of a month or so?
So once the ordinance is approved, then it takes a couple of weeks to get the signed ordinance. And once we get the signed ordinance, then we'll route it for signature.
Okay, so to the listing public, about a month, they can check to see the surplus lists on the website.
Correct. Okay. After passage.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Thornton. Commissioner Wright?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and this is either for you, Ms. Sykes-Wood, or perhaps our county attorney. Can we amend the caption to be more specific about who is paying this fee? So would it be appropriate for it to say establishment of an administrative fee to be imposed on applicants? If that is appropriate, I would like to make that motion.
I will just have one point. This is the exact same caption we use for the DTPs, but we just substituted out. So the previous ordinance was passed using that same language too.
Okay, so Commissioner Wright has made a motion to amend the language, which again, we're on first reading, could also be done in committee if we want to flesh this out, but the motion's been made. Is there a second to it? Okay, it's seconded by Commissioner Thornton. Can we do that without objection? Okay, I hear none, but Commissioner Wright, will you please restate the specific area where you want to adjust the caption?
Mr. Chair, after the word imposed in the caption, we would add the words on applicants.
Okay, you got that? All right, so that motion to amend was made without objection. We're now back on the item 26, first reading as amended. I think we are now ready to take this item to a vote. Madam Clerk, we can please prepare the screen to vote on 26 as amended. Okay, we can close the screen and record the tally.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Mills, Ford, Wright, Thornton, Brooks, Avan, and Sherman Whaley. We have 9 aye votes.
All right, item 26 will go on to a second reading. Item number 27.
Item 27 comes from the Budget and Finance Committee with Commissioner Lowry as Vice Chair. Item 27 is a resolution amending the FY 2025 operating budget and accepting state grant funds in the amount of $100,000 from the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development to further efforts to secure broadband infrastructure and access to the community in Shelby County, Tennessee through the Broadband Ready Communities Grant Program, and approving a contract with Innovate Memphis in the amount not to exceed $94,000 in accordance with the grant for the term from execution through June 30th, 2025, and with the option to renew for one additional one-year period. This item requires the acceptance and expenditure of FY 2025 grant funds in the amount of $100,000, sponsored by Commissioner Miska Clay Bibbs. This item was sent down without recommendation in February 5th, 2025 committee meeting.
Item 27 is moved by Commissioner Caswell, seconded by Commissioner Thornton. Vice Chair Avant, can we get a committee report from Budget and Finance?
Yes, this came down without a recommendation.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. McCarthy, good evening. I know you worked hard on this item, but you have the floor if you want to introduce any of the questions that have come up in committee.
Yes, Hannah McCarthy, Mayor's Office of Innovation and Strategic Communications. Thank you, Chairman Whaley. And thank you to the commissioners. I know that I have been blowing up your phones recently, and I appreciate all of you who have taken the chance to speak with me one-on-one, and to those of you who have expressed your support of this item. I have passed around some additional information which was requested by Commissioner Thornton in the last committee meeting on Wednesday. Specifically regarding the vetting process for nonprofits and Innovate Memphis' proposed timeline for this program. I would just like to reiterate that this grant has been in the works for a while, and I would just like to stress the importance of not delaying this item. These are federal funds, non-local, being passed through the state, and just with every delay, there is some uncertainty and risk there that we could lose these funds. So I would strongly encourage you to vote yes on this today and not risk losing those funds with delays. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Thornton, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Hannah, we discussed an amendment to this item. Do you have the wording for that?
Hannah McCarthy, Mayor's Office of Innovation and Strategic Communications. Yes, Commissioner Thorne, we did discuss that, and I also wanted to say thank you for taking time to meet with me one-on-one. It was very insightful, those discussions. We have considered the recommendation to amend this item, and at this time I feel that it would be difficult to implement these changes. And again, that further delays could put this funding at risk. So I do not have additional language with me today.
Okay, so when you say you're speaking on behalf of the Office of Innovation, is Innovate Memphis here?
Hannah McCarthy, Mayor's Office of Innovation. No, ma'am. Director Lotz is not here.
Okay, so when you say the rejection of the amendment, which is what we sat down to discuss, did you follow up to be able to inform me that you rejected the amendment?
Hannah McCarthy, Mayor's Office of Innovation. No, this is the first opportunity I've had. We've been having these discussions since we just met on Friday up till today. So
what exactly is the objection to Innovate, who's not here to represent their objection to the amendment?
Hannah McCarthy, Mayor's Office of Innovation and Strategic Communications, namely just that we feel that the proposed timeline and proposed vetting process is sufficient to address those concerns that you had already, and also just that, again, we want to keep with the current timeline and keep with the timeliness of moving forward so that we don't risk losing these funds.
So I don't know if there was a miscommunication between you and I. What is it that you're interpreting that is adjusting the timeline? My amendment was to target the focus of the 100,000 and how we would expend it. So help me make sense to what you're saying and what I've asked for, because it doesn't make sense right now.
Hannah McCarthy, Mayor's Office of Innovation and Strategic Communications. Just that the process of amending with those specific changes, we believe would adjust the timeline that Innovate Memphis has put forth as it is.
So you were already looking to expend these dollars in Shelby County. My amendment is to target it into the top 4 that you have highlighted here, colleagues. You have the documents. So clearly this issue is something that is more prevalent in certain districts, districts 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I'll just make my amendment and just say to my colleagues, we have here $100,000 that's going into an issue that clearly impacts many, many households beyond what this 100,000 can actually serve. Chair, I'll make my second point.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're back in the queue.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Chair. So when I met with Hannah, I asked for her to present an amendment to be able to target the expending of this 100,000 in the 7, 8, 9, and 10 districts. To me, it doesn't augment the timeline. It actually just tailors how these funds will be expended. I mean, if you're going to address the issue, you have to address it in the places where it actually is an issue. And clearly, the data shows that the 4 districts listed here are carrying the bulk of the disconnect. So I would hope, again, we continue to pass items and receive funds without ever acknowledging the plan for those that we won't serve. So my question today would be, if we're serving the 10%, what about the 90%? And I know that we're going to continue to say that there are not enough funds to serve the 90%. However, people still need service. And so if we happen to put these funds in areas where there's not the most pressing need, I think that that's a disservice in how we could potentially use the 100,000. So again, so my time isn't wasted. I'm very frustrated to have had a conversation with you and then for you not to communicate with me that there was not continued consensus around what we said. The next time you reach out, I'll have a question about whether or not I'm going to sit down, if this is how our professional relationship is going to go, because it was very obvious to me in that conversation that there was shared understanding that where there is need, resources should be deployed. So just to my colleagues, again, I ask for you just to look at the documents they've given us. It's highlighted in yellow. 7, 8, and 9, and 10 are the districts that have the highest need, and I would love to see us amend this item to tailor the expending of these funds in those respective districts. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Thornton. Commissioner Morrison?
Thank you, Ms. McCarthy, for being here. So maybe I'm misunderstanding because this document that you provided indicates to me that those neighborhoods are included.
Hannah McCarthy, Mayor's Office of Innovation and Strategic Communications. That's correct, Commissioner Morrison. Within the eligibility criteria and the vetting process that Innovate Memphis has laid out, which you have in the document before you, they will be looking especially in those zip codes and at those districts with the highest need as part of their grading rubric for nonprofit partners.
So it sounds like they will be, so maybe there's a disconnect. It sounds like to me that they will be emphasized in the study.
Commissioner Morrison, that is correct.
Thank you.
All right, great. Commissioner Brooks?
Thank you. I have a couple of questions, but in reference to my colleague to my right here, those zip codes, you have 2 in North Memphis and 2 in Mid-South Memphis and one in Mid-South and one in Deep South. So you're missing a great big area. You only have, and that 06 is part North Memphis and part something Midtown. Anyway, the question I have for you, what seems to be what's the time sensitivity here where you can't accommodate Commissioner Thornton? I'm trying to understand that.
Hannah McCarthy, Mayor's Office of Innovation and Strategic Communications. Ultimately, we defer to the decision of this committee on the amendment on this. I think that it's been adequately laid out within the existing process and timeline from Innovate Memphis. However, if this body sees fit for the need for that to be included in the language of the resolution, again, ultimately, we defer to the decision of this committee.
Okay, I understand that, but that didn't answer my question. I'm trying to understand. I wasn't here Wednesday. I'm trying to understand because Commissioner Thornton has some great questions. And that's why I didn't, in addition to being sick, I didn't bother to call you back. But I'm trying to understand the depth or the sensitivity here that will not allow you to accommodate those questions. I just need that answer. That would help me. That would inform my vote.
Hannah McCarthy, Mayor's Office of Innovation and Strategic Communications. Commissioner Brooks, first of all, I just want to say I hope you're feeling better. But to answer your question, there is some sensitivity around just federal funds in general right now, the uncertainty of those funds remaining in place. So there is some time sensitivity around making sure that we're accepting these funds. Again, this is my 4th time before this body now, so I'm just hoping to move forward without further delays on this item.
I don't want to belabor this, but the funds are already in the state of Tennessee, right? I understand that y'all's president is going to put a freeze on it. He's trying to, but I think a federal judge has issued an injunction. But I'm trying to understand. Those funds are already with ECD. ECD sent the funds to Shelby County, is that correct? Or they plan to send it to Shelby County?
Hannah McCarthy, Mayor's Office of Innovation and Strategic Communications, they would be sending those funds after we accept them.
But we already have it in the state.
They are passing through the state, yes.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Commissioner Brooks. I see you're back in here, Commissioner Thornton. This would be your 3rd time in the queue on this item. So if you need additional time, you can have 1 more minute, and then we're going to take it to a vote.
Thank you, Chair. So just colleagues, I would like to make a motion to amend this item to specifically include districts 7, 8, 9, and 10. As just mentioned with Commissioner Morrison, there is not much disruption to the current outlaying of the item. The reason being is because we are implicating partnerships with nonprofits. And so it is, from my conversation with Hannah, a working relationship that Innovate Memphis has with select partners, and we just want to make sure that the partners that are being targeted are targeted in specific districts and not, people coming from citywide organizations headquartered in District 13, though the issue is in clearly District 7, 8, 9, and 10. So my emphasis on tailoring this to districts is so that we can ensure that the community partners that will actually be outreach to come from the districts where there is the most pressing need.
All right. It's been moved by Commissioner Thornton to specifically add the districts 7, 8, 9, and 10 as priority areas for this grant. It was seconded by Commissioner Caswell. Is there an objection to that motion? Okay, hearing none, that will be accepted without objection.
Recognized?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Brooks.
Sure. I just want to add for my colleagues that I can support my, Commissioner Thornton on this, because when we have these little small grants, and granted, this is just a small amount of money for this big issue, But what they do in order to try to get more money, they will go to they will get the organizations that they historically gone to, the ones that will always allow them to check the box, the success box. So, and I understand what Commissioner Thornton said, we just need to go to the highest need, which does not necessarily align with what will help them get another grant.
Okay. Yeah, I think it looks like everyone's on the same page here. We want to make sure that this grant, obviously it's not nearly enough, but it's something, you've worked hard on this. We wanted to make sure it goes to those who need it the most. I think everyone's on the same page with that. So, all right, so I think we're ready to vote on this. Madam Clerk, please prepare the screen to vote on item 27 as amended. Okay, we can close the screen and record the vote.
Thank you.
Well, yeah. Excuse me. We have aye votes from Commissioners Clay, Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Ford, Wright, Thornton, Morrison, Brooks, Avon, and Chairman Whaley. We have 11 aye votes.
Okay, item 27 passes. Madam Parliamentarian, you please read items 29, 30, and 31 into the record.
Items 29 through 31 come from the Hospitals and Health Committee with Commissioner Caswell as Vice Chair. Item 29 is a resolution approving a contract to purchase property located at 455 Union Avenue, Memphis, Tennessee, 38104 from audit Partners, 455 Union Avenue, LLC, in the amount of $1,500,000 plus reasonable closing costs and appropriating said funds. This item requires the expenditure of fiscal year 2025 capital improvement funds in an amount not to exceed $1,700,000, sponsored by Chairman Michael Whaley. This item was an add-on and sent down without recommendation in February 5th, 2025 committee meeting. Item 30 is a resolution approving a contract to purchase property located at 637 Union Avenue and 667 Union Avenue, Memphis, Tennessee, 38104 from Vernon L. Kearns Jr. in the amount of $300,000 plus reasonable closing costs and appropriating said funds. This item requires the expenditure of fiscal year 2025 capital improvement funds in an amount not to exceed $350,000, sponsored by Chairman Michael Whaley. This item was an add-on and sent down without recommendation in February 5th, 2025 committee meeting. Item 31 is a resolution approving a contract to purchase property located at 126 South Lauderdale Street, Memphis, Tennessee, 38104 from Chittum Family Limited Partnership in the amount of $937,922.15 plus reasonable closing costs and appropriating said funds. This item requires the expenditure of fiscal year 2025 capital improvement funds in an amount not to exceed $987,922.15, sponsored by Chairman Michael Whaley. This item was an add-on and sent down without recommendation in February 5th, 2025 committee meeting.
Okay, if we can get a mover and seconder for items 29 through 31, moved by Commissioner Sugarman, seconded by Commissioner Caswell. Commissioner Caswell, can we have a committee report?
Sent down without recommendation.
All right, thanks so much. Commissioners, I'm going to move to withdraw these 3 items. We're going to bring them back at a later date. So we can do that without objection. Okay, hearing none, items 29, 30, and 31 are withdrawn. Item number 33.
Item 33 comes from the General Government Committee with Commissioner Mills as Vice Chair. Item 33 is a resolution to address deficiencies in the county's annual budget report submitted to the State Comptroller and requesting that procedures be put in place to ensure compliance with future budget reports required by Tennessee law, including statutory obligations and the Shelby County Charter. Sponsored by Commissioner Erica Sugarman, this item was amended in February 5th, 2025 committee meeting.
Item 33 is moved by Commissioner Sugarman, seconded by Commissioner Thornton. Commissioner Mills, can we have a committee report? Commissioner Mills, you have a committee report on 33?
Yes, that was amended and comes to us with a favorable recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Sugarman.
Thank you, Chair. And so I just want to reiterate that this is in reflection to the State Comptroller's report that we received on September 25th, 2024. And it just states that several things need to happen And if it does not, it says future submissions that do not meet minimum submission requirements pursuant to the budget manual, including the items listed above, will not be approved. We will no longer conditionally approve the county's budget each year pending submission of basic schedules and other financial information. And so I just like to move this this letter into exhibit item number 6 under general government. This will be exhibit E. Pass that forward.
All right, Commissioner Sugarman's moved to add, this is an exhibit that you want to add in? Okay, add in an exhibit, Exhibit E, letter from the comptroller from September 25th, 2024. We need a second. Okay, it's seconded by Commissioner Caswell. Can we do that without objection? Okay, hearing none, the new Exhibit E will be added to item 33. Okay, Commissioner Ford.
I think the item, let me just ask to my colleague, is it the comptroller letter basically saying that if finance doesn't take care of business, that we will not have our budget approved? Is that the one that you're referencing?
That is correct.
Okay, you should have that one. That was that bad letter that y'all got. Chair, whoever put in these exhibits that are in the computer are not supposed to go with this item. It's supposed to go with the tort item that's supposed to come back next Wednesday. So just for clarity, all the exhibits, Exhibit A, I'm looking real quick. All of the exhibits for this item are not for item 33. They're supposed to be for the item that is in the, that's been held until the 19th. So I don't know if I need to move for those exhibits to be removed, but the Exhibit A, B, C, I think C and D are the same item, so I don't know what transpired to where these items, these exhibits are not the ones that I asked about. So I guess through the parliamentarian, through the chair, since these are not the appropriate exhibits for this item, they were supposed to be the exhibits for another item that we're coming, that we're going to talk about next Wednesday. What's the best way to remove these exhibits because they don't have anything to do with this item?
So these items were added based on action taken at committee. So are you saying that, where was the error?
So the item that I know that my colleague just added was brought as an exhibit on Wednesday, and my assumption is that since she didn't see it in here, she decided to go ahead and add it. There were a lot of exhibits that were given on Wednesday.
Yeah.
For these, what's in the system, the A, B, C, and D, those exhibits were moved for the item dealing with the tort liability fund, not this item regarding compliance with line item. So I don't know what happened, but it's not supposed to be for this item. It's supposed to be for the item that we're entertaining on the 19th. What should have been was the comptroller letter that my colleague brought. It should have also been the email that I sent to the comptroller asking about line item. It should have also been the reference of page 6 in the budget manual on the comptroller's site. I remember putting those as the items that I put as exhibits, not these exhibits. And I had a copy of each exhibit, so I know which ones I referred to. It was the comptroller letter, my letter to the comptroller's office regarding line item, their response back with the budget book and page 6, and the budget manual that was a PowerPoint. Those were the 4 exhibits, not this. So how do we clean that up?
So, yeah, Madam Parliamentarian, what do you suggest? So it looks like the exhibits were accidentally swapped onto the wrong items? Which I think if those motions were done properly in committee.
Yes.
So I think what we can do, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is we can just make a motion to correct the exhibits as they were in committee, so that when the resolution is acted upon tonight, the one that's gone for signature, that's finalized, will have the correct exhibits in it per those that were approved in committee. So there's no changes from committee, and we should be able to do that.
So move.
All right, is there a second? Okay, seconded by Commissioner Thornton. So just to match up the exhibits properly with this item, and then the ones that are in here will go with the item that's coming on the 19th. It was seconded by Commissioner Thornton. Can we do that without objection? All right, hearing none, the amendments, or the amendment for the exhibits to be swapped out is approved. Commissioner Ford, is there anything else? Okay, all right. Seeing no one else on the screen, I think we're ready to vote on item number 33. Okay, we can close the screen and record the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Ford, Wright, Thornton, Morrison, Avent, and Chairman Whaley. Commissioner Brooks has abstained. We have 10 ayes and 1 abstain.
Okay, item 33 passes. Item number 34.
Item 34 comes from the General Government Committee with Commissioner Mills as Vice Chair. Item 34 is a resolution approving program guidelines for the Board of County Commissioners Commission Summer Youth Program, sponsored by Chairman Michael Whaley and Commissioner Brittany Thornton. This item was amended in February 5th, 2025 committee meeting.
All right, item 34 is moved by Commissioner Sugarman. If we can get a second. Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Thank you. Commissioner Mills, can we have a committee report?
Yes, this item was amended in committee and comes to us with a favorable recommendation.
Okay, all right, thanks so much. Doesn't say that we have one on the screen for this item. Madam Clerk, we can prepare the screen to vote on item 34. Okay, we can close the screen and record the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Wright, Thornton, Brooks, Avent, and Chairman Whaley. We have 9 aye votes.
All right, item number 34 passes. We are now at the point of the meeting. If there are any announcements or statements, Commissioners, please jump in the queue and make those now. All right, Commissioner Morrison.
Just briefly, I'd like to thank Ms. Blunt, who made the arrangements for those of us traveling to Nashville, all invited. And secondly, to say, I think our lobbyist, Theo Morrison, has sent the agenda to everyone. He was trying to reach the very last members that we'll be meeting with just to get it exactly right. And I imagine it'll be updated again on Wednesday morning, but wanted everybody to be aware it's in their inbox. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Caswell.
Again, thank you and great meeting, Chair. Tomorrow, our weekly stakeholder meeting at 3034 Old Austin P Highway at Dwelling Place. We're going to have Dr. Rochelle Atkins, building resilient leadership training that she's going to be providing for our stakeholders from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And also just a reminder, February the 22nd, our man-to-man conference at 6120 Winchester Road with Dr. Stacy Spencer, Taria Mungo, and Mike Honor with a firm. Again, inviting all our men to join us from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. And that's it. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Caswell. Commissioner Thornton.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to thank, I know I mentioned earlier, shadowing the high school students. Today, it was Ryan Brown and Julius Fletcher. They did a really great job of just opening their school for my observation, and were really gracious hosts. So thank you to those 2 student athletes.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Wright.
Mr. Chair, I forget if we've already recognized her, but we had a colleague celebrate a birthday last week, so happy birthday, Commissioner Brooks.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Thank you. Commissioner Caswell again.
I'm sorry, Chair. I just had one other announcement. Again, partnering with Bully the Bull and Sam Watson, the boxing promoter, surrounding our schools with a no bully zone kickoff that's going to be February the 21st for the Kingdom at 4100 Raleigh Millerton Road. And again, that's with Shelby County Schools and some of our other community partners helping to surround our schools around no bully and really focusing on bully awareness. And that's going to be February 21st from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, 4100 Old Raleigh Military Road. We invite anyone to come out to be with us. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, with that, we're adjourned until Monday, February 24th, 2025 at 3 p.m.